Chapter 5:15. The black hole opened, and Lu Chen and Cowherd walked out together. Everyone's eyes fell on Lu Chen. He was the one fighting in the battle planes, and Cowherd was obviously his assistant. Lu Chen looked back. There were many people from the Maple Leaf clan, and a few of them were older. Their clothes were inlaid with gold. His voice suddenly turned cold. I don't mind if you steal my equipment, but you broadcast my leveling without my permission. That's against the rules. Lu Chen frowned and turned to look at the Maple Leaf clan. He snorted coldly. When we challenged the record, you said that we would be killed on the spot in less than 6 minutes, and wanted in the city. Now, I'll give you a chance. If your explanation doesn't satisfy me, I'll destroy Maple Leaf City. Maple Leaf Green Shirt trembled in fear. This guy was really giving them a taste of their own medicine. He wanted to destroy Maple Leaf City. Sir, please calm down. Someone immediately came forward to mediate. Maple Leaf Green Shirt hurried forward. Please calm down. Your damage is too high. We really don't understand. That's why we started the broadcast without consulting you. Yes, sir. We've been in Maple Leaf City for almost 100 years, but we've never seen such ridiculous numbers. We couldn't believe it at that time, so gentlemen, let's talk it over. We've seen your strength, and we admire you greatly. To be honest, our Maple Leaf City is also very proud to have such a terrifying record. We just want to ensure the fairness of the competition. Lu Chen looked at the Maple Leaf clan. Their attitude of apologizing wasn't bad. Moreover, he had received the news in the battle planes, so it might have been them who sent it. Although they watched Lu Chen fight without permission, they at least notified him in advance, making up for it. Lu Chen wasn't a stingy person. Since these people were willing to admit their mistakes, he wouldn't really destroy their city. After all, a 2-star clan couldn't compare to a powerful force like the Dongfang clan. They only had a few titled marshals to hold the fort. Lu Chen's record was 3 times that of the Destiny Squad. These people naturally didn't dare to offend him. Kid, forget it. They've already admitted their mistakes, Cowherd said. Lu Chen nodded and exhaled. All right, since your attitude isn't bad, I won't argue with you this time. Thank you, sir. That dungeon record, Maple Leaf Green Shirt hurriedly said. Sir, you've just farmed the Battle of Beasts Plains for 2 hours. You must be tired. Why don't you take a rest before you challenge again? Maple Leaf Tassel added. The 2 of you should be staying in Maple Leaf City to level up. May I know where the 2 of you are staying now? Tongfuin. Tongfuin. Why don't the 2 of you stay in our Maple Leaf estate? At least the environment is better. Yes. Since you 2 distinguished guests can come to our Maple Leaf City, how can we not do our duty as hosts? Come to our residence, and have something to eat first. Our chef's cooking skill is already at level 7. The food he cooks will definitely satisfy you too. Lu Chen was not tired. His main task was to take a nap. However, considering that Cowherd and the others might be tired, he decided to postpone the challenge for the time being. On the other hand, Lu Chen had some questions he wanted to ask the people of Tier 3. Forget about living there. However, if your cooking skill is at level 7, and your skills are the same as chasing clouds, I can give it a try. Seeing that Lu Chen agreed, the people of the Maple Leaf family finally breathed a sigh of relief. Lu Chen and Cowherd followed Maple Leaf Green Shirt down the high platform, and walked towards the city. Green Shirt and the others did not dare to neglect Lu Chen and the others. They had already set up a table full of delicacies. As a family, they definitely had a lot of ingredients stored. Unlike Chasing Cloud, who was stingy and always roasted meat as if it was his own, Lu Chen grabbed a piece of roasted meat and tasted it. The taste was slightly worse than Chasing Cloud's roasted meat, but it was still delicious. During the meal, Green Shirt accompanied them. After chatting with Lu Chen and the others for a while, the atmosphere between the 2 sides became much more harmonious. Tassel asked curiously, The 2 of you, may I ask if the 2 of you are Marshal Destiny? No, the old man is a general, and I am a militia. Lu Chen directly answered. The few people at the table almost spat out the food in their mouths. Militia? Impossible. Lu Chen directly showed his position. He was a militia. Lu Chen looked at the shocked expressions of the crowd. He put down the food and smiled. Is the military rank that important? This. Tassel wanted to say that of course the military rank was important. It was almost the most important proof of strength in Tier 3. It could be exchanged for items, and was also a symbol of status. In short, in Tier 3, everything depended on the military rank. Green Shirt said, "Little brother, the military rank is still very important. If you are a martial destiny, we would not dare to spy on you." Lu Chen nodded. Green Shirt seemed like an honest person. Maybe it is very important, but I don't care. I also don't want to be promoted. One of the juniors could not help but be curious and asked, "Why?" Green Shirt glared at his juniors. "Little brother, you naturally have your own thoughts. Don't talk too much." Lu Chen smiled. "Actually, it's nothing. I just feel that the so-called battles in Tier 3 are meaningless." After taking a sip of tea, Lu Chen sighed softly. During this period of time in Tier 3, he had been to many places in the outer villages of the human race, the Heaven's Punishment Tower, the City of Exiles, the Demon Race's territory, the Dragon Necropolis, and Maple Leaf City. He had a deeper understanding of Tier 3. Lu Chen looked at Qing Shan. "I've fought with many alien races, and I've also fought with human experts. The advantage of humans isn't in one-on-one combat. Many of the alien races are much stronger than humans of the same level." Green Shirt nodded. There was no doubt about this. Many races had their own racial characteristics, and these characteristics were also reflected in the game. The physical body of the demon race, the spiritual power of the demon race, the agility of the demon race. Humans actually lost at the starting line. "Little brother, we all know what you said. At the same level, humans are no match for the foreign races. This has been proven countless times." Lu Chen nodded. "So, humans actually have no advantage here. Under such circumstances, humans still don't know how to unite to fight against the enemy. What kind of privileges are these? It's really meaningless. No matter how strong a race is, if they can't unite, they will eventually go extinct." Lu Chen thought of the ancient dragon race. Their individual strength gave him a headache, but in the end, they also became the words on the stone tablet. Green Shirt was stunned on the spot. This kid's thoughts were exactly the same as his own in the past. In some cities with wild areas, there was a fee to farm wild areas. Moreover, not everyone could farm wild areas. However, Maple Leaf City's wild areas only had one requirement. One could enter as long as they lined up. No matter if they were originally from Maple Leaf City or not, they were open to everyone. From this point of view, Maple Leaf City was considered to be relatively fair. And this point also reflected the Maple Leaf family's desire to improve everyone's strength. Although their city wasn't considered a paradise, at least they had action. Lu Chen shook his head. Some people are willing to sacrifice themselves for others, while some people betray their fellow people for their own selfish interests. What top 10 forces, they are all doing things their own way. In order to compete for the quota to go to the Tower of Babel, no one really thinks for the entire human race. Green Shirt was a little excited. "Little brother, then what do you plan to do next?" Lu Chen took a deep breath. Only those with the title of Marshal and above can participate in the tournament. However, each of the 5 major families has a quota to waive the military rank requirement. As for others, if they are jointly recommended by several families, they can waive the military rank requirement. As he spoke, Lu Chen looked at Green Shirt. "I hope you can support me in participating in the tournament." Chapter 516. Qing Shan didn't immediately agree to Lu Chen's request. This matter was related to the reputation of the Maple Leaf family. Before leaving, Qing Shan grabbed Lu Chen and asked, "Little brother, I need a few more days to think about what you said today. But if you want to recommend you, at least let me know your name." Lu Chen smiled. "It should be on your wanted list." "Ah, you're wanted by our Maple Leaf City?" Lu Chen nodded. "Solipsistic." Qing Shan was stunned for a moment. He searched his mind, and then stared at Lu Chen with wide eyes. You're the solipsistic who challenged the Heaven Punisher Tower." "No, solipsistic used a bow and arrow, 9 dragon pillars and a saber. You used a sword." Lu Chen didn't explain much and directly revealed his ID. Unlike everyone else's white ID, Lu Chen's ID was gold. This was enough to explain the problem. It's really you. But you're telling me this. Aren't you afraid that I'll arrest you? Lu Chen smiled. City Lord. I'm wanted by the entire third heaven. Don't tell me that I'm going to be a coward. Besides, you just want to steal my treasure. Come and steal it if you can. Qing Shan frowned and looked at Lu Chen. He hesitated for a moment. Forget it. I can't steal it. If you're solipsistic, you might really win the martial arts competition. Then you'll challenge the Heaven Punisher Tower, right? Cowherd interrupted. He'll definitely go to the Heaven Punisher Tower. But before that, he has one more thing to do. He must get first place in the martial arts competition. Qing Shan asked curiously, what is it? Lu Chen narrowed his eyes and said seriously, the martial arts competition of the 10,000 races. The martial arts competition of the 10,000 races. Qing Shan looked at Lu Chen in horror. Your goal is the martial arts competition of the 10,000 races. That's a competition where all the races send out their strongest forces to fight for territory. The human race has been absent for a long time. Lu Chen looked at Qing Shan. It's fine if I was absent in the past, but I'll participate this time. However, I have to prove myself in the martial arts competition of the human race and gain the support of the major forces. Only then will people be willing to let me represent the human race in the competition. Brother Kuang. Qing Shan looked at Lu Chen. Do you know that in order to fight for territory, many experts from other races are suppressing their strength and are not in a hurry to enter the fourth heaven? Actually, the strength of those people is enough to enter the fourth heavenly layer. Lu Chen nodded. Brother Kuang, do you know that the martial arts competition is a battle of life and death? Lu Chen took a deep breath and nodded. I know. After traveling with Cowherd for so long, he knew many things that he didn't know before. The human race great martial arts meet was to select those with potential to enter Sky Split Tower. This was a personal matter. As for the myriad race martial arts competition, it was a matter of the races. The various races held the myriad race martial arts competition every half a year. Every race would send a representative to participate. Because it was related to the interests of the race, many super experts cultivated by other races would not hesitate to delay entering the fourth heaven to represent their race in the competition. Their strength was already at the fourth heaven level. As for the human race, they would also send Marshal Tianming to participate in the myriad race martial arts competition in the past. However, they did not achieve any results. On the contrary, the forces that sent out their strongest experts would lose their super experts, and their strength would be greatly reduced. The competition within the human race was fierce. Over time, no one was willing to send people to participate. The myriad race martial arts competition used a battle of life and death. The first move was to injure the physical body. It was common to see people die in battle. When he looked at Lu Chen again, Qing Shan's gaze was different from before. There was more admiration in his eyes. Brother Kuang, I'll think about what you said. You can stay in Maple Leaf City for a while. Come to me if you need anything. As he spoke, Qing Shan took out a voice transmission talisman. This is my personal voice transmission talisman. Lu Chen took the voice transmission talisman and put it away. He returned to the inn with Cowherd. The next morning, Lu Chen and Cowherd woke up early to challenge the dungeon record. The 3 great dungeons were not difficult for Lu Chen. He could clear them at least 3 or 4 times in 1.5 hours, breaking the record again. His experience level increased rapidly. Cowherd collected another set of equipment. Lu Yi's level also increased rapidly. During the day, he farmed monsters. At night, Lu Chen let the Infinite Demon Sword devour new equipment. As the Infinite Demon Sword could only use 30 special effects, Lu Chen repeatedly chose. He found that he was still using the original special effects. Most of the special effects were not replaced. Xianwu's Sunset Morning Dew is quite interesting. Let's change the Wishful Clone. The Wishful Clone's level was lower than the Demon Clone. The clone's illusion could not use skills. Although it could use many skills, it was relatively repetitive. After devouring a large number of equipment, the Infinite Demon Sword's attributes were even more terrifying. I have already obtained 2 of the most important treasures of the third heaven. Lu Chen thought to himself. I'm only missing the middle scroll of the 9 transformations of gods and demons. I wonder where it is. The people of the Maple Leaf Mansion did not give Lu Chen a reply. He was not in a hurry. After clearing the 3 great dungeons, he leveled up in the plains of chaos. On this day, Lu Chen suddenly received an email. It's from Brother Shan and the others. Lu Chen hurriedly opened the email. Madman, we have received reliable information. The shifters are about to launch a large-scale attack on the human territory. They said that you stole their treasure. The humans must call you out. Otherwise, the human territory will be bathed in blood in 3 months. They are gathering other races. They are preparing to use this as a pretext to attack the humans. Madman, no matter where you are, it is not safe now. You must be careful. Lu Chen frowned slightly. Stole the shifter's treasure? How could that be considered stealing? Now, it seemed that the shifters did not intend to give Lu Chen a chance to explain. The other races at least knew that Lu Chen had the Heaven Punishing Tower. This was enough for them to join forces and force the humans to submit. They are going to bathe in blood in the human territory? Lu Chen stared and snorted. 3 months later, it will be the time for the Myriad Races tournament. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. Maybe they will use the Myriad Clan competition to put pressure on the human race. Originally, Lu Chen planned to level up and obtain the support of 10 2-star forces. Then, he would participate in the tournament without any military rank. Overall, there was no pressure. However, the news brought back by Libation and the others made Lu Chen feel a sense of urgency. It feels like a war is about to break out. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes. He had to hurry. The next day, the Maple Leaf Mansion finally sent someone to look for Lu Chen. Green Shirt personally came to Tongfuan. Brother Kuang, I'm afraid you must leave Maple Leaf City immediately. Green Shirt looked very anxious. I have received news that the other races are forcing the humans to hand you over. Otherwise, they will bathe the human territory in blood and even completely exterminate the humans. This news was the same as what Libation had conveyed. It seemed that Green Shirt was a trustworthy person. Brother Kuang, I know the other races very well. Actually, whether we hand you over or not, they will definitely attack the humans this time. Qingsha's brows were filled with anxiety. This time, they have found an excuse to join forces. This time, it may be related to the survival of the humans. Chapter 517. The 5 major forces have already issued an emergency arrest warrant. Your 3D image has been sent to every major city. Brother Kuang, your whereabouts are worth 100,000 military merit points. Now we can be sure that someone must have informed us that you are in Maple Leaf City. You must leave here immediately. Lu Chen frowned slightly. Brother Qingshan, my thoughts are the same as yours. The myriad races are using my name to completely eradicate the human race. The more this is the case, the more I want to participate in the martial arts competition and obtain the qualification to participate. Brother Kuang, you have to think clearly. Even if you win first place in the martial arts competition, if you can't convince the 5 major forces, I'm afraid you will be captured and sent to the demon race before you can participate in the martial arts competition. Lu Chen smiled slightly. If the human race still doesn't know how to unite at that time, then I don't need to care about the third heaven. Brother Qingshan, now I just want to know, can you nominate me? Qingshan was silent for a long time and sighed. Actually, a few days ago, I found a few major forces that I have a good relationship with, hoping that they can support you. That's why it took so long. In contact with them, I learned that you come from a technological world. You don't have any background. From the first heaven to the third heaven, you relied on yourself. Is this true? Lu Chen nodded. I really don't have any background. Qingshan leaned against the back of the chair and took a deep breath. It's true. Brother Kuang, your strength is enough to challenge the Tower of Babel. I think the reason why you still want to participate in the martial arts competition is to seek a foothold for the entire human race. I, Qingshan, can only admire your breadth of mind. Brother Kuang, I'm very familiar with the people in charge of those forces. They are willing to nominate you. But Brother Kuang, You have to think clearly. Once you are nominated, you will shoulder the fate of the entire human race. Qingshan looked at Lu Chen. This responsibility is not something that ordinary people can bear. You might even have to bear it with your life. Lu Chen laughed self-deprecatingly. Actually, I don't want to worry about these things. I'm not as great as you say. It's just that the people from my hometown will probably come to the third heaven. I don't want them to have to face a third heaven that they can't survive. What's more, I've made a lot of friends here. I'm not doing this for anyone else, but for my friends. I'm going to fight. The green-robed man nodded heavily. I understand. Fine. The human clan is facing a catastrophe, and my Maple Leaf Mansion can't stay out of it. It doesn't matter if you nominate me. My Maple Leaf Mansion will advance and retreat together with Brother Kwong. Brother Kwong, the situation is critical now. Don't show up. Leave the rest to me. I'll help you contact people. A month later, the Jingguang Temple will hold the Human Clan Martial Arts Competition. At that time, I'll guarantee that at least 10 two-star forces will nominate you to participate in the competition. After Qingshan finished speaking, he placed a wooden token on the table. This is my Maple Leaf Mansion's Patriarch's token. If I'm unable to fulfill my promise, then this token will belong to Brother Kwong. Lu Chen couldn't help but be moved. Qingshan had left his Patriarch's token with him. The human clan wasn't all without guts. Some people were just oppressed by reality. When the crisis came, their guts broke free from the shackles of the past at the same time. Brother Kwong, leave Maple Leaf City as soon as possible. Leave the rest to me. I'll see you at the Jingguang Temple in a month. Lu Chen and Cowherd left Maple Leaf City under the cover of night. I finally feel what it's like to be wanted by the entire server. Cowherd followed behind Lu Chen. We're lucky to have met a loyal Maple Leaf Mansion. If we were caught, we might have been kidnapped in the middle of the night. Lu Chen smiled. Old man, if you think it's dangerous, then don't follow me. What? You want to drive me away? Kid, let me tell you. I'm not afraid of danger. Back then, I was also wanted by several cities. When it comes to escaping, I'm more experienced than you. Lu Chen smiled and shook his head. By the way, do you know where there are treasures? Or some forbidden places, such as the Dragon Tomb of the Goblin Clan, or the Heaven's Punishment Tower? Cowherd looked at Lu Chen in surprise. Don't tell me you're addicted to exploring forbidden places. But speaking of which, the best treasures are really only found in forbidden places. Cowherd thought carefully and suddenly had an idea. Speaking of forbidden places, I remember one. There's a forbidden place in the Jingguang Temple. To be precise, it's not a forbidden place. It's more like a magical place. Magical place? Yes, the Mirror World. That should be the most famous place in the entire third layer of heaven. Apart from the Heaven's Punishment Tower, the two chatted as they shuttled through the jungle. The Mirror World is actually a dungeon, but this dungeon is very interesting. The boss inside is yourself. Ah, Lu Chen's eyes widened. Strange, right? That's why I said it's a magical place. The first level of the Mirror World will duplicate a mirror image of the challenger, with 100% of the original's combat strength, including attributes, skills, and even battle pets. Lu Chen frowned. This was the first time he had heard of such a dungeon. Does the mirror image have a consciousness? Yes. The only difference is its consciousness. It's like another person using your body, Cowherd said. Cowherd said, unfortunately, that consciousness is extremely strong, and its reaction speed is extremely abnormal. It can almost always maintain its peak state. That's why many people who have entered the Mirror World will exclaim that I'm so powerful. When they saw the consciousness using their own body, and the combat strength it displayed, they were all shocked. Just by listening to Cowherd's explanation, Lu Chen already felt that the difficulty of this dungeon was terrifying. A body with 100% of the original's combat strength, coupled with a consciousness that always maintained its peak state. How could he win? Old man, you said first level just now. Does that mean there's a second level? There should be. After all, after entering the dungeon, the map will show first level of the Mirror World. But at least after I came to the third heaven, I haven't heard of anyone passing the first level. From the militia to the destined marshal. Many people have tried, but the result is the same, Cowherd said. Actually, it's because the mirror world is too difficult that the alien race left such a strange dungeon for the human race to occupy. Think about it. The rewards for this dungeon must be very generous. As long as there's a chance to pass, the alien race wouldn't leave such a good dungeon in the human race's territory. Lu Chen frowned. A body with the same combat strength as mine. How can I win? Kid, don't think about it. Even you can't win. Cowherd looked at Lu Chen with a smile. The stronger you are, the stronger the mirror image. From this point of view, your chances of success in the mirror world are lower than mine. Lu Chen smiled. Anyway, it's such an interesting instance. I'd like to try it out. It just so happens that we're going to the Jingguang Temple to wait for the next human race tournament. Let's go to the mirror world to take a look. Chapter 518. According to the news from the front lines, many alien races had gathered at the borders of the human territory. In the past, the alien races would fight each other when they met, but this time, they were surprisingly peaceful. The two alien races at the front lines were the Titans and the Goblins. The Titans were known to have an indestructible golden body and were ranked in the top 10 among all races. When they fought, they could reach 50 to 60 meters tall like giants. However, they usually appeared in a form similar to humans. The Goblins, on the other hand, had all kinds of flowers, birds, insects, and fish. The two leaders stood together and looked at the human villages in front of them. Hey! I heard that the solipsistic goblins stole a treasure from the goblins? What kind of treasure is it? The Titan leader was a woman. She had a well-built body and was over 2 meters tall with muscles all over her body. The lizard next to her had a slender head and looked much more feminine. You don't need to know what treasure it is. That guy has already angered everyone. We must kill him. The Titan woman sneered. That's true. That guy has the Heaven Punisher Tower. I heard that he killed a lot of people in the trial battlefield and is called the Grim Reaper. I want to see what right a lowly human has to be called the Grim Reaper. Let's wait a few more days. The Allied forces are surrounding the human territory now. We can get rid of these ants together. At the same time, in the National Military City, one of the 5 major cities in the human territory, over 100 leaders of 2-star and above forces were gathered. We're surrounded on all sides. What do you think we should do? Did you catch the solipsistic goblins? If we hand him over, will we be able to resolve this crisis? This question had been at the core of the debate between the two major factions. The pro-war faction believed that the outcome would be the same, whether the solipsistic goblins were handed over or not. The pro-peace faction wanted to find the solipsistic goblins as soon as possible to atone for their crimes. Don't be naive. The other races have wanted to destroy us for a long time. This time, they just found a reasonable excuse. A woman in military uniform stood up. She was the National Military General Country Protector Qiufeng. This woman looked like she was in her 20s, but her voice was very mature. She should be older than that. As a military general, she couldn't be a young girl. In fact, Country Protector Qiufeng was almost 40 years old, but she still had a hint of maturity. That's right. I agree with General Qiufeng. The head of the North Snow family, North Snow Lingjun, said indifferently. There seemed to always be a faint icy mist around him, making people feel that this guy was quite cold. Isn't the reason why Solipsistic is wanted by the entire server because of his treasures? Did he really do something unforgivable? I don't think so. Speaking of the demon race's treasures, everyone knows that the dragon necropolis has existed in the demon race for an unknown period of time. They have never been able to obtain the treasures themselves. So wouldn't they allow others to explore it? The reason why the demon clan said that the solipsistic demons stole their treasures was because of the division of territories. The dragon necropolis just happened to be in their territory. However, in the third heaven domain, the ownership of the territory is always changing. It's all because they don't have the ability to obtain the treasures. The head of the Wood Manor Hong Yu, was an old man. He coughed lightly. Qiufeng Lingjun, you're right. We all understand this. However, The problem now is that the Alliance army of the 10,000 races is already here. Even if they insist on twisting words and forcing logic, what can we do? The head of the Jingguang Temple, Bunyan, said indifferently, Benefactor Hongyu is right. Either we seize the territory in the 10,000 races competition. Since we humans haven't participated in the 10,000 races competition for many years, and since we've already lost the territory, we have no right to take other people's treasures. The head of the Afterlife Hall was wearing a ghost mask. His face couldn't be seen, but his hoarse voice could be heard. What's the point of talking about these useless things? The key now is to find the person first. We can decide whether to hand him over or fight him later. Otherwise, we won't have any bargaining chips. Both sides agreed on this point. The most important thing now was to find the solipsistic demons. After the 5 moguls reached an agreement for the time being, a 2-star clan head abruptly asked aloud, Master Bunyan, will this month's internal competition still be held? Master Bunyan looked at the person who asked the question. It was Maple Leaf Green Shirt. Maple Leaf Mansion? Didn't the solipsistic demons stay at your place back then? Maple Leaf Green Shirt stood up and said respectfully, Master, the solipsistic demons did stay at my place, but there was no 3D image sent down at that time. That guy also hid his ID. People came and went in Maple Leaf City. By the time I found out, he had already left. A white-robed old man in the front row stood up and turned to look at Maple Leaf Green Shirt. This person was the head of the Dongfang family, Dongfang Xiong. You actually let that kid slip away from under your nose. Do you know that if we could catch him now, we wouldn't be in such a passive position? Dongfang family head, I'm sorry. It's indeed my fault. Master Bunyan waved his hand and said, Forget it. With the solipsistic demon's strength, a 2-star family might not be able to catch him. No matter how this matter progresses, the human race competition will continue as usual. Otherwise, the 10,000 races will see that we're panicking. Maple Leaf Green Shirt nodded and secretly sighed in relief. Jingguang Temple was the main city. The tallest building in the city was a temple in the center of the city. It was said that the world where Jingguang Temple was located believed in Buddhism. Of course, their Buddhism should be a little different from Earth's. It did not forbid killing or women. Otherwise, how could a world full of monks and nuns reproduce? At this time, 2 pedestrians wearing dark gold equipment and masks hurried on the street. Hey kid, isn't it a little dangerous for us to appear here at this time? Cowherd whispered. What do you know? There's a saying in my world that the most dangerous place is the safest place. Then why don't you attend the clan leader conference? That's the most dangerous place. Old man, why do you like to argue so much? How far is the mirror world? It's in Jingguang Temple. Let's go. The 2 walked quickly into Jingguang Temple. Many people came to burn incense in Jingguang Temple. Now that the foreign races were gathering at the border, this kind of burning incense and worshipping Buddha was even more popular. Lu Chen looked at the huge Buddha statue enshrined in the Hall of Great Strength. He thought for a long time, but could not remember which god it was. Stop looking, the mirror world is behind us. Cowherd dragged Lu Chen away quickly. There were too many people here. They came out from the back door, passed through the pavilion corridor, and made many turns. Finally, a square platform appeared in front of them. There were hundreds of steps around the platform. In the middle of the platform stood a huge mirror. It was 100 meters high and dozens of meters wide. From time to time, people would walk into the mirror. When someone entered, the surface of the mirror would ripple like water, and then return to normal. There are still many people challenging it. Well, although I haven't heard of anyone passing the first level of the mirror world, it's very effective to use it to train your strength. The people of Jingguang Temple are all very strong in combat. It's inseparable from the mirror world. Lu Chen nodded. Okay, let's go in too. Lu Chen was also a little nervous. This was probably the first time in history that he knew the strength of his enemy, but could not predict the outcome of a battle. Would he still be able to win this battle with him this time? Chapter 519. The mirror world was a personal dungeon, and Jingguang Temple required 2 military merit points. Cowherd and Lu Chen pooled together and paid 4 military merit points. I haven't been so poor in a long time. Cowherd shook his head. Kid, I'll give you all the military merit points. You can challenge it twice. No need. I can grind for military merit points in the future. It's rare to come here. Old man, you should go and take a look. After all, it's a famous magical place in the 3rd layer of heaven. Cowherd was a little tempted. He thought for a moment and said, That's true. I'll go in and take a look. The two stepped into the mirror world at the same time. A ripple appeared on the surface of the mirror, and Lu Chen disappeared into it. There was only an empty palace in the dungeon. There were no decorations except for the pillars supporting the building. However, the marble floor was glossy, and it looked magnificent. Walking to the center of the hall, Lu Chen vaguely saw a blurry figure in front of him. It became clearer and clearer, until it looked exactly like Lu Chen. Lu Chen frowned as he looked at the person in front of him. Was this him? The mirror image was completely different from the clone. The clone was expressionless and looked cold, but in fact, it was a little dull. However, the mirror image in front of him had light in its eyes, as if it was a living version of himself. He was 176 centimeters tall, and had not shaved for a long time, so his hair was a little long. He was not handsome, but he was decent enough. However, there was a big difference between his eyebrows and his previous self. The current him gave people a sense of calmness with every movement. It was very different from the young and inexperienced person he used to be. If someone saw this person in a hurry, he would probably attract a lot of attention. At this moment, the mirror image spoke first. You're very strong. Lu Chen was stunned. It seemed that the consciousness had said this after completely replicating his state. However, the stronger you are, the stronger I am. The stronger you are, the more dangerous your battles will be. Lu Chen's lips curled up slightly. I heard that you can reach the limit of human consciousness. That's right. I can always maintain a state of focus like you humans. In other words, it's impossible for you to defeat me. Lu Chen took a deep breath. Nothing is impossible. I've seen too many people who I thought were impossible to defeat. But as long as they exist, they can't be perfect. You also have a weakness. Lu Chen, who was opposite him, also raised the corners of his mouth slightly. He looked very confident, but also a little like a ruffian. Is that how I usually look? Indeed, he had the urge to beat him up. No wonder he was always mocked by others. Seeing this contemptuous expression, he couldn't help but want to beat him up. Solipsistic, the only way to defeat me is to surpass yourself. The next battle gives me a feeling that I haven't felt in a long time. I feel a little excited. After saying that, the mirror image raised its hand, and Lu Chen received a public announcement. The Mirror World Instance Dungeon will not be open today. Players who enter the Instance Dungeon will be forced out of the Instance Dungeon in 3 seconds. Looking at Lu Chen's strange gaze, the mirror image maintained its smile. I need to focus on dealing with you. Lu Chen couldn't help but laugh. He thought of Cowherd. That guy probably still didn't know what was going on, and was about to be forced out. It was a little tragic. Outside the mirror world, many players were forced out of the Instance Dungeon. At this time, they were looking for the person in charge of the Jingguang Temple to ask for an explanation. I haven't even started fighting. Why are you forcing me out? Is this a scam? Give me back my military points. Yeah. Why didn't you say earlier that the Instance Dungeon was under maintenance? The few young people in charge were dumbfounded. Cowherd looked around the crowd and was puzzled. Where's that kid? Why is he the only one who hasn't come out? In the mirror world, the mirror image slowly raised its hand. As its arm rose, a black and white weapon slowly rose from the void. It's really difficult to replicate this weapon. Even I can only replicate its current state. I can't perfectly replicate all its abilities. He was talking about the godly demon limitless sword. Solipsistic, don't take out your heaven-swallowing beast. Otherwise, I'll have to replicate another one. That guy is a little too troublesome. Also, you can imagine 2 heaven-swallowing beasts biting each other and recovering unlimited HP at the same time. It doesn't seem very meaningful. Lu Chen smiled. Furball was giving this guy a headache. Okay, then I won't use my battle pet. Alright. The mirror image remembered something and said, Reviving is prohibited here. I don't want to waste too much time on repetitive things. Lu Chen snorted. He was also worried about his 3 lives. Banning reviving was the best option. Then I'll use all my strength in 1 life. Lu Chen took out the godly demon limitless sword. The battle between the two was about to start. In front of the mirror world, the Jingguang Temple returned Cowherd's 2 military points. However, he didn't leave yet. He found a place to sit. Lu Chen didn't come out. He might have encountered something. At that moment, a large group of people from the Jingguang Temple appeared below the platform. Cowherd hurried to hide. Elder, I don't know why, but the mirror world closed automatically today. All the people who went in before were forced out. Can we still go in now? A silver-haired man asked. His ID was Wuxia from the Jingguang Temple. Yes, we wanted to try just now, and found that there was no reaction at all when we touched the entrance. By the way, we've calculated the data. There's still 1 person who hasn't come out. Well, that old man was still sitting there. He's that old man's friend. Wuxia hesitated for a moment and said, find that old man first. Also lock down the mirror world and guard it heavily. If anyone dares to cause trouble, punish them severely. Yes, Cowherd was used to being wanted. Although he was old, he wasn't slow. That was how he managed to avoid the people from the Jingguang Temple. He didn't run far. He hid in a tree. Hearing their conversation, he became even more worried. This is troublesome. Kid, what are you doing in there? In the main hall of the mirror world, 2 figures chased each other with displacement skills. They advanced and retreated. It was impossible to tell which was the mirror image, and which was Lu Chen. At this time, both sides had activated Ares Possession, Devil Transformation, Lightless Sky Flame Pillar, Black Coffin Dead Zone, Blood Sacrifice Shield, Deathland, and Dragon Blood Boil. Both of them had low HP, but there was no difference between low HP and full HP. Lu Chen knew his own attack power too well. Even if he had the Blood Sacrifice Shield, he wouldn't be able to take a normal attack with his little health. There were still a lot of Lightless Sky Flame Pillars around. Being stunned by one of them meant losing a life. The Sky Flame Pillar was already difficult to distinguish. Now that both of them had activated the Sky Flame Pillar at the same time, it was even more difficult to distinguish. Lu Chen had to use Eye of the Dark Gods to make a judgment. The 2 of them directly used displacement skills. I'm too strong. My head hurts. The mirror image was more inclined to attack, but he didn't seem to be in a hurry. Every time Lu Chen showed an opening, he would give up attacking as long as there was danger. Damn it, this guy is so cautious. Lu Chen's several attempts to lure the enemy in had failed. He was getting more and more anxious. The longer the battle dragged on, Lu Chen wouldn't be able to maintain such a high level of concentration. The opponent's advantage would become more and more obvious. In the end, he would only lose. Haha, kid, you want to lure the enemy in? I know all of your cultivation techniques, so I also know what skills you can use. Looks like the solipsistic is only SOSO. You have no hope of getting the middle book of the Celestial and Demon Jiutian. Lu Chen's eyes widened. The mirror image meant that the middle book of the Celestial and Demon 9 transformations was right here. Chapter 520. While moving at high speed, constantly switching between offense and defense, a single wrong step could happen. 10 minutes later, both of them were still moving at high speed. Kid, your willpower is quite tenacious. You're still not willing to admit defeat? But your reaction speed is getting slower and slower. You have no chance to continue. Lu Chen made a mistake in positioning, and the distance between the two was suddenly shortened. Here's my chance. Infinite Triple Gate. Mountain Splitting Strike. The mirror image finally attacked. Mountain Splitting Strike countered displacement, and only the Triple Gate could deal with it. Lu Chen's eyes widened. Infinite Triple Gate. A shadow smashed towards him, at an extremely fast speed. Midway, it was suddenly teleported to another direction by the Triple Gate, and so on. The special effect of Mountain Splitting Strike was like a fast-forwarded video, madly changing directions, and finally smashing towards Lu Chen. Lu Chen's eyes were about to pop out. What kind of skill was this? His skill was too strong, and he couldn't even dodge it. With a loud bang, Lu Chen was stunned. Fierce Tiger descends the mountain. This was Lu Chen's most commonly used skill, but now he could only watch in horror as his opponent rushed towards him. At full strength, Lu Chen could deal hundreds of millions of HP per second. A mere 10 million HP couldn't withstand the attack of Fierce Tiger, descends the mountain. The blood sacrifice shield shattered, and Lu Chen's HP collapsed like an avalanche. When Lu Chen's HP was left with 2.4 million, he forcefully activated the Divine Demon Convergence Barrier. Finally, the Divine Demon Convergence Barrier was activated. In an instant, the surrounding space suddenly became strange. It was as if the speed of the falling dust had slowed down by half. Your Celestial Demon's Convergence Barrier came out first. The Celestial Demon's Convergence Barrier is the deciding factor in our victory or defeat. Now that you have used it, and I have not used mine, the one who will lose in the end will still be you. The mirror image was not afraid at all. This was Lu Chen's last chance. He had to make good use of these 15 seconds. In the barrier, the flow of time between the two sides was reversed, and Lu Chen had a sufficient advantage. Triple Gate Mountain Splitting Strike. In the eyes of the mirror image, the change in the path of the mountain splitting strike had already exceeded the limit of human reaction speed. After several transformations in space, the Huashan strike smashed into the mirror image. After the stun effect, Lu Chen quickly created clones. A large number of clones rushed toward the mirror image and started attacking crazily. -100,000, -10,000 poisoned, -10,000 poisoned, -370,000 double advanced, -10,000, -10,000. When the damage value jumped out, the mirror image's eyes were filled with doubt. It was impossible for Lu Chen's attack to only deal over 100,000 damage. Even the poison damage was only 10,000. He lowered the force ratio. Why is this happening? Shouldn't he be taking advantage of the fact that the Divine Devil Origin Returning Formation is still in place to cast out my Divine Devil Origin Returning Formation? However, Lu Chen was still adjusting the ratio of his strength. Although Lu Chen and his doppelganger's attack power was as low as it could get, the passive effects were still being refreshed. Silence, stun, mana burn, slow. A group of doppelgangers attacked together. At this moment, the mirror image suddenly saw that Solipsistic's real body had turned invisible. What is that guy doing? Is he afraid that I'll activate the Divine Devil Origin Returning Formation? So he's hiding? Unfortunately, it was obvious that his reaction speed could not keep up. Even invisibility could not save him. The mirror image's HP was 11 million. For the doppelganger that dealt 100,000 damage, it could not last long. The mirror image's HP dropped rapidly. Not long after, it had already dropped to 10%. From the beginning to the end, the mirror image did not move. Infinite stun was no joke. If there were no accidents, Lu Chen's doppelganger would be able to stun the mirror image to death. Speaking of which, when the mirror image had only a few thousand HP left, that guy's Divine Devil Origin Returning Formation still had not been activated. D*MN. This guy's attack has already dropped to less than 100? The mirror image's eyes were wide open in anger. His own Divine Devil Origin Returning Formation was still in his hands, and this made him furious. Suddenly, he came to a realization. The reason why Solipsistic had lowered the force ratio was to prevent his Divine Devil Origin Returning Formation from activating too early. The reason why Lu Chen was able to use Divine Devil Origin Returning Formation when he still had 2.4 million HP left was because the CIA would only activate the Divine Devil Origin Returning Formation when it received a fatal blow. The mirror image's attack was normal. After quickly destroying Lu Chen's blood sacrifice shield and 8 million HP, Divine Devil Origin Returning Formation offset that fatal blow. Lu Chen's attack was surprisingly low, which also caused him to be unable to insta-kill the mirror image. If he could not insta-kill the mirror image, then the Divine Devil Origin Returning Formation would not activate. Not long after, the mirror image's HP had dropped to 1000 HP, but it still did not activate the Divine Devil Origin Returning Formation. The 15 seconds of invincibility had ended, and Lu Chen was still lowering the damage. Finally, the mirror image's HP dropped to the hundreds, and the mirror image's divine devil origin returning formation was activated. Spider web entanglement. Not far away, a ball of spider web shot over. The mirror image almost vomited blood. This guy, using spider web entanglement in a battle of this level? This skill could be said to be the first skill to appear in Jyotian. A ball of white spider web entangled the mirror image, like a cocoon stuck to the ground. Spider web entanglement did not cause any damage, but after being entangled, unless attacked, the mirror image would not be able to move or attack. Unfortunately, the skill level was too low, and it could no longer restrain others. Damn it, are you kidding me? You want to use this kind of trash skill on me? The mirror image roared and slashed the spider web entanglement. Just as the mirror image broke the spider web entanglement, it suddenly found itself in a chessboard. At that moment, the mirror image was stunned. Heavenly Might chess formation. When the two of them were fighting fiercely, neither of them could set up the Heavenly Might chess formation. But Solipsistic had lowered his own attack to delay the activation time of the mirror image's divine devil origin returning formation, creating an opportunity for himself to set up the Heavenly Might chess formation. After he became invisible, he set up the Heavenly Might chess formation. Then, he used spider web entanglement to lure the mirror image into the Heavenly Might chess formation. A voice came from around him. I have the same skill as you, and your reaction speed is above mine, so it's impossible to beat you using normal methods. I've always been vexed over how to defeat someone I can't defeat. Thankfully, a friend once told me that a person's most precious right is the right to choose. You and I chose different strategies, and from the looks of it, you have already lost. The Heavenly Might chess formation did not care if the mirror image was immune to damage. The 300 chess souls used the Heavenly Might killing formation, Heavenly Might arrow killing formation, Heavenly Might rock killing formation, and Heavenly Might heavenly killing formation to take turns attacking. Even if the mirror image killed the chess souls again and again, they would transform back into chess souls not long after they returned to being chess pieces. Setting up the Heavenly Might chess formation required time, and similarly, cracking it required time. And 15 seconds was clearly not enough to crack the formation. When the Divine Devil Origin returning formation ended, a gigantic staff shadow smashed down from above the chessboard. Alright, you only have Buddha Saves All Lives and Little Min's Master Protection, these two life-saving skills. Unfortunately, these two skills are one-time use. MT Hua Split. Infinite Obelisk Sweep. To the mirror image, not only did it have to deal with the Heavenly Might chess formation, but it also had to deal with the Solipsistic, who was hiding in the shadows. No matter how fast his reaction speed was, he was trapped in the formation and bombarded repeatedly. It was impossible for him to be completely safe. This time, the attack dealt more than 100,000 damage. Not long after, the mirror image's Buddha Saves All Lives and Xiao Min's Master Protection were forced out. Finally, they were killed by a 3,000 body blink slash that appeared out of nowhere. Congratulations, you have successfully challenged your own mirror image. Please enter the second level of the mirror world. Chapter 521. When Lu Chun was about to enter the next floor, the mirror image that had fallen to the ground suddenly spoke. Hey Solipsistic, I want to know who your friend is. Lu Chun stopped in his tracks. A good teacher and helpful friend, but he has already fallen. He has an immortal body. Yes. Thinking of Mu Xian, Lu Chun always felt a trace of guilt. He couldn't save Mu Xian, but Mu Xian used his life to help him. I see. Solipsistic, if you leave the mirror world now, it'll be considered a success. I can give you my treasure. If you continue, you won't get anything if you lose. First scroll of the 9 transformations of gods and demons. No. Then it's meaningless. Lu Chun shook his head. He was no longer interested in ordinary items. What he wanted now was not quantity but quality. If you go up like this, do you know what's on the next floor? Aren't you afraid you can't beat it? I'm used to going straight. Ha 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 ha. You're really an interesting person. Lu Chun smiled and went directly to the second floor. In the hall on the second floor, there was a mirror. Lu Chen frowned and walked up. In the mirror, Lu Chen was in human form. After the battle just now, Lu Chen was in demon form. This mirror reflected another Lu Chen. There was no strategy guide for the second floor. Lu Chen was also confused. What do you mean? Am I also fighting against myself? There were no monsters around, so Lu Chen was even more confused. Looking at himself in the mirror, Lu Chen couldn't help but ask, "Mirror, mirror, tell me, who is the most handsome person in the world?" "Yes, it's still me. You're an honest mirror." Fortunately, there was no one else around. Otherwise, who would have thought that Solipsistic, who was wanted by the entire server, would be so bored? Lu Chen went around the mirror and looked behind it, but he couldn't find any clues. Hey, how are we supposed to pass this level? Someone should at least come out and fight. At this moment, the mirror spoke. You have already proven your strength on the first level. Now answer my question, and you will pass this level. Lu Chen's eyes widened. What's the problem? Gods have the world in their hearts. They bless all living things and urge people to do good. Demons only care about profit. They kill all living things and lead people into becoming demons. Then between gods and demons, would you choose gods or demons? Lu Chen frowned deeply. He looked at himself in the mirror, as if this question was asked by himself in the mirror. Along the way, you have fought for others, and you have also fought for yourself. Your physical body and personality are half divinity and half demonic. Then, the only thing that can decide is your heart. Lu Chen pondered for a moment. You're that celestial venerable Ling Tian? Or does it represent the will of Jiutian? I'm all living things, but I'm not all living things. I don't represent anyone. I just want to know. Lu Chen shook his head. It's really strange. Why do you always like to force me to choose? What does it have to do with Jiutian, whether I'm a god or a demon? There are countless powerhouses in Jiutian. It doesn't matter if I'm a god or a demon, because you've never made a choice. This also means that you're not in Jiutian. Lu Chen in the mirror said, do you know that all powerhouses at the peak, regardless of whether they're gods or demons, are actually a kind of pure consciousness? Whether they're gods or demons, they're all reasonable. Just like the two extremes of yin and yang, they balance each other to maintain stability. But you're like a part that's drifting away from the rules. In fact, you've been breaking the rules, haven't you? Lu Chen smiled slightly. Who set the rules? I'm tired of rules and regulations in my life. I don't want to be restricted by them here. From the first heaven to here, I've experienced a lot. Good and evil can't be completely defined. Little Green poisoned the people of Divine Herbalist Valley to avenge them. Spiritual Martial Apothecary craves power, but he also has kindness in his heart. His purpose perhaps is to change the lowly status of humans. In the Heaven Punisher Tower, the guardians on every level want to kill me. But when my friends become guardians in the Heaven Punisher Tower, I stand in their perspective. Killing me is their duty. In the eyes of humans, the Demon Clan is an unpardonable enemy. But when I arrived at the Demon Clan's territory, the people there were very friendly to their own people. They were also very united. So what's good and evil? Gods and demons? If gods block me, I can kill gods. If demons block me, I can also kill demons. If humans block me, I'll kill them. If the Demon Clan treats me as a friend, I'll treat them as my friends. I only want to do things with a clear conscience. To your question, my answer is, I choose to be myself. Even if you don't let me pass this level, my answer will still be the same. In the mirror, Lu Chen kept looking at Lu Chen, as if he could see through Lu Chen's thoughts. After a long time, the corners of Lu Chen's mouth rose slightly. Congratulations, you've passed this level. You can choose to leave the mirror world now. That way, you can get the first and second levels rewards. If you choose to continue the challenge, you'll lose all the rewards if you fail. Is your reward the second volume of the 9 transformations of demons and gods? No. Then I choose to continue the challenge. You have the right to choose. After Lu Chen in the mirror finished speaking, he gradually faded away. Then, the demonic form of Lu Chen appeared in the mirror, just like a normal mirror. Lu Chen shook his head. Damn, I look so handsome. It's this pair of ears and tail. I wonder when Little Green will refine me again. The entrance to the third level had been opened. Lu Chen took a deep breath and walked up. On the third level, there was a huge window in the hall, and some images were playing at this time. Lu Chen frowned and walked over. In the image was a silly knoll. Because it was too ugly among the knolls, it was targeted by a few girls. In the end, the knoll gathered a large group of companions and wiped out the 5 human girls. Then the knoll fled. On the way, it kept evolving and leveling up. It farmed in the wild, leveled up, 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 fighting for Wuxia, massacring cities, killing players, killing Grey Wolf for the Earth players in the second heaven, leveling up the Earth players, and killing millions of Earth players before leaving. That guy was definitely a madman, who could not differentiate between good and evil. In the end, the familiar figure entered the Mirror World dungeon with his old friend Cowherd. After a fierce battle, they passed the first level, and then the second level. Then, they stood in front of a big screen, and looked at their evolution path. This is... Lu Chen looked at the screen in shock. He seemed to have experienced the Jiutian again. A line of words appeared on the screen. Solipsistic, you have gathered the 3 major variables of the Jiutian, the sky-devouring rat, the ultimate sword, and yourself. In that case, I'll give you another variable. Then, a scroll appeared on the screen. On the scroll was written First Scroll of the 9 Transformations of Gods and Demons. In front of Lu Chen, another mirror appeared. The rewards for the first 2 levels of the mirror world are a portion of God's blood and a demon seed. The mirror world is both real and illusory. 3 years in the mirror, 10 days outside. You can cultivate here before leaving. Remember, don't forget your original intention, and you will achieve success. Chapter 522. It can't be. That's it. Can I farm a few more times? Lu Chen hurriedly asked. I have other ways to beat the guy on the first floor. I can farm a few hundred God's blood demon seeds. And I don't need the 9 transformations of gods and demons. Faced with such an unreasonable request, the consciousness ignored him. Lu Chen knew that his request was a little too much, so it was only right that he was ignored. Hey, do you know where the second volume of the 9 transformations of gods and demons is? This time the consciousness finally responded. From the 4th heaven to the 9th heaven, any level is possible. The true power of the 9 transformations of gods and demons can only be unleashed by gathering all 9 transformations. Damn, it's as if you didn't say anything. In any case, he had finally found the second volume of the 9 transformations of gods and demons. The mirror world also provided a place to train. Of course, Lu Chen would not waste this opportunity. Of course, although 3 years in the internal world was equivalent to 10 days in the external world, for Lu Chen, it was still 3 years. It was definitely a painful thing. Forget it. It'll be over soon. Lu Chen reluctantly entered the mirror world. The mirror world of the mirror world dungeon. It was a bit of a mouthful. It was like a lake, but one would not sink if one walked on it. 2 glowing items floated in the air. They were the God's blood demon seeds. Other than that, there was nothing else. Lu Chen put away the God's blood demon seeds and sat cross-legged on the surface of the lake. He began his 3-year-long closed-door training. For 3 years, Lu Chen was absolutely safe here. However, he did not dare to go offline. If he went offline, he might be in the mirror world for a few months. This time, Lu Chen finally felt what it meant to pass a day like a year. The only thing that could record his training progress was the progress of the 4th to 6th levels of the 9 transformations of gods and demons. It was slowly increasing. Strangely enough, in the mirror world, Lu Chen did not feel hungry. When he felt tired, he would just lie down and sleep in the mirror world to recover. There was no passing of spring and autumn, no blossoming of flowers. It was just that in Lu Chen's consciousness, the long 3 years had already come to an end. I've finally maxed out the proficiency. Lu Chen let out a long sigh of relief. That was so boring. It hasn't been 3 years yet. I should refine the godly blood demon seed as well. After devouring the godly blood demon seed, Lu Chen's innate power increased once again. His immortal might rose from elementary immortal physique, immortal might to intermediate immortal physique immortal might. His demonic aura increased from elementary demonic weapon demonic aura to intermediate demonic weapon demonic aura. Worship of heaven's might and defying demonic might could increase the maximum attribute by 800,000. At the same time, the duration of the weakened state was halved. The reason why Lu Chun rarely used these two innate skills was because of the duration of the weakened state. For example, in the Heaven Punisher Tower, if he used these two innate skills on any floor, there was a 100% chance that he would not be able to pass the next floor. Even on the 9th floor, if he was in the weakened state at that time, he might have already been killed and robbed of his treasures. He did not dare to use them outside. If he casually used them, the weakened state would last for a few days. He would not be able to go around causing trouble. He would definitely be killed by others. When the weakened state is completely gone, then these two innate skills will be awesome. Lu Chun thought to himself, forget it, I can't be too greedy. I'll level up slowly. Maybe I won't have the weakened state later on. Right now, the biggest use of the innate skill is to not be suppressed by others. At the same time, it can increase the level limit. Lu Chun stood up, feeling that his legs were a little numb. I can finally go out. Lu Chun stretched his body and walked out of the mirror world. Just as he walked out of the mirror world, Lu Chun found that he had a lot of messages. It was the message from Cowherd. Stinky brat, why haven't you come out yet? Can't you receive the messages? Stinky brat, it's been 7 days. What are you doing in there? Give me a reply. The people of Jingguang Temple are waiting for you outside the dungeon. They have set up the 5 elements ox imprisoning formation. That formation is very good at trapping people. Once you come out, you won't be able to escape. Lu Chun frowned slightly. It seemed that the anomaly in the dungeon had attracted the attention of the Jingguang Temple. He did not expect them to know that he was still in the dungeon. He looked at the mirror in front of him. Hey, are you still there? I've always been here. Do you have another exit here? There are people blocking me at the entrance. I don't want to be found yet. Yes, I can teleport you to another exit in the territory of the nature elves. Ah, you're so far away from the other exit? How long will it take to get back? With your walking speed, you should be able to get back in about 4 months. Lu Chun sucked in a breath of cold air. 4 months was definitely not enough. The human race's martial arts tournament would begin in about 10 days. What if I ride a 9-winged? 20 days. Then what if I use displacement? 10 days. Lu Chun hesitated for a moment. All right, please teleport me to the exit of the nature elves. Outside the dungeon, there were already hundreds of people surrounding it. The people of the Jingguang Temple had been waiting here for several days. The people surrounding the dungeon had changed over and over again. Are you sure there's still someone inside? It's already been 10 days. Someone should be coming out soon. We've checked the name list repeatedly. There's indeed someone who hasn't come out. Did you catch that old man? We've searched the entire city several times, but we still haven't found him. Cowherd finally understood that the most dangerous place was the safest place. He was on a tree under the high platform, but at this time, he had almost merged with the tree trunk. Looking at the branches and leaves wrapped around his body, Cowherd's face was filled with despair. That kid, it's been 10 days and he still hasn't come out? Did he pass or not? It can't be that long. Just as everyone was getting a little numb, ripples appeared on the surface of the huge mirror. Everyone was on full alert. The dungeon is reacting. Everyone pay attention. He might be coming out. Has the formation been set up? It's set up. As long as he comes in, he won't be able to escape from the ox prison formation. However, the entrance of the mirror dungeon only swayed for a moment like a lake before it returned to normal. The mirror world dungeon has been reopened. Huh? What's going on? The dungeon has returned to normal, but why isn't anyone coming out? Cowherd was also confused. Did that kid come out? At this time he received a message. Old man, I'm with the nature elves. I'm now rushing to the Jingguang Temple. Oh wait, I seem to have encountered something here. Let's talk about it later. The nature elves were naturally very compatible with animals and plants. They were good at elemental attacks. They were considered to be a relatively special wood elemental attack. The territory of the nature elves had always been known as the most difficult territory to sneak into. Here, to any intruder, it was definitely an enemy in every bush and tree. As a rare intruder, Lu Chen now felt such treatment. To make matters worse, he was teleported to a city. As soon as Lu Chen appeared, the elves coming and going around looked at this uninvited guest in shock. Others didn't even dare to enter the borders of the nature elves, but this person was simply too daring. He actually ran into the city of the nature elves. Damn, this mirror world is really tricky. Why didn't it say that the teleportation point is in the city? Enemy infiltration. The whole city was alerted. Earthbind. Song of the Forest. Tree of Life. Facing countless plants and vines that grew wildly, Lu Chen gasped. Sorry, I was wrong. 7 stars chasing the moon. Chapter 523. The nature elves were definitely not to be trifled with. Lu Chen immediately activated the 3 demon transformations to escape. However, after discovering that there was an intruder, the nature elves were all alarmed. The entire clan was on guard and set up difficult to detect nature arrays everywhere. If one was not careful, they would fall into the trap. This gave Lu Chen a headache. I have to rush back in 10 days, but now. Lu Chen, who was recovering his spiritual energy, stopped when the trees behind him suddenly changed shape. Lu Chen did not have time to recover his spiritual energy and continued to escape with the 3 heavy doors. Damn it! It might be too late. More and more people flocked to Golden Light City. Now that the human race was facing a great enemy, the martial arts competition became even more eye-catching. Solipsistic had not been caught yet. How would the human race face the massacre in 2 months? It was very likely that the martial arts competition would provide an answer. With the reopening of the mirror world, after waiting for 20 days, the people of Jingguang Temple slacked off. On the other hand, outsiders rarely came to Golden Light City and wanted to try the mirror world. Considering that this was a large amount of military merit, and that the guy in the instance dungeon was probably not there anymore, Jingguang Temple finally removed the 5 elements ox imprisoning formation, and the mirror world reopened. Cowherd finally regained his freedom. He hurriedly took off his mask and blended into the crowd. Why did that kid run to the nature elves' territory? If he doesn't come back soon, the martial arts competition will start. No, I have to go and tell Qing Shan about the situation. After Qing Shan learned about Solipsistic's situation, he was suddenly anxious and restless. Elder Cowherd, how can Brother Quang not be here at this time? I've already contacted the leaders of the 16 forces and agreed to jointly recommend him. Do you know how much determination it takes to recommend a wanted criminal in the entire server? I bribed a lot of people. This is secondary. The key is that if he doesn't come this time, they will think that he is a person who goes back on his words and will not recommend him in the future. Cowherd frowned. He could imagine Qing Shan's difficulties and said, Master Qing Shan, don't worry for the time being. This is also an accident. That kid is on his way back. Qing Shan tried his best to calm himself down and nodded. All right, I believe that Brother Quang won't disappoint us. Then, I won't inform the others for the time being. Until the last moment, we'll act according to the plan. 3 days later, the human clan's martial arts competition officially began. The rules of the human race's martial arts competition were very simple. There were 2 ways to register. One was to register by oneself after reaching the rank of titled martial. The other was to be recommended by one's family. Each of the 5 great powers had 1 recommendation slot. The other 1-star powers had an average of 3 recommendations for 1 person, while 2-star powers needed 10 recommendations for 1 person. In total, there were about 12 or 13 people recommended. In reality, it was very difficult for titled marshals to pass through the Tong Tian Tower. However, each level of the Tong Tian Tower required many challenges before one could pass. The strength of the human race at the 3rd heavenly layer was very low. Every attempt required a large number of troops to escort them. Their manpower and resources were severely depleted. The purpose of the human race's martial arts tournament was to give the opportunity to those with strength to attempt Sky-Split Tower. Golden Light City could no longer bear the burden and began to implement a restricted entry policy. Every force would limit the number of people entering the city according to their level. In Qing Shan's room, more than 10 leaders of the great powers were asking about the solipsistic. Brother Qing Shan, the competition is starting today, but the solipsistic hasn't appeared yet. How can we recommend him? That's right. Back then, you said how righteous he was. In the end, he still hasn't appeared. I seriously doubt his character. Brother Qing Shan, the person we recommended is the solipsistic. Just the nomination alone is enough for us to be pursued by the great powers. We bet all our assets on him. But in the end Qing Shan comforted them. Everyone, please calm down. I received news that Brother Kuang is rushing here with all his might. He will definitely arrive today. The reason why I looked for everyone back then was because we haven't given up hope. We don't want to stay in this tiny place, and don't dare to cross the border. Moreover, the human race is now besieged, and the myriad races are still gathering in the human race's territory. You all know that they have long wanted to annihilate the human race. This time, they just found an excuse. We actually have no way out. If Brother Kuang is willing to step forward bravely at this time, may I ask everyone, can we find a second person to take on this heavy responsibility? Since ancient times, achieving great things has been a matter of life and death. Haven't you all been mentally prepared? However, while Qing Shan persuaded some people, he couldn't persuade everyone. I'm sorry, Brother Qing Shan, for asking me to bet the safety of the Shu family on this person. It's not that I want to destroy the tower at the last minute, it's just that. Forgive me for being blunt, but he can't afford it. The Shu family withdraws. He still hasn't appeared. Qing Shan, I'm withdrawing too. Didn't he think about how much risk we're taking by recommending him? Forget it. You're familiar with him, but I don't have any interactions with him. I can't trust him so much. Qing Shan, the Li family withdraws. Emotions were contagious. Those who were wavering withdrew from the matter one after another. Seeing the forces withdraw one by one, Qing Shan's heart ached. He counted the remaining people, and found that there were only 8 forces left. Qing Shan, there are only 8 forces left. Our recommendation is useless. The strange fire tribe leader shook his head helplessly. Qing Shan frowned. No, it might not be useless. I only know you guys, but I believe there are others who have the same thoughts as us. Even if there aren't, at least let others know that not everyone is willing to be humiliated by the other races. The strange fire tribe leader nodded. If this matter doesn't succeed, the human race won't be able to escape the fate of destruction. What's the difference? At 10 in the morning, the martial arts competition had already begun. The competition used an elimination system. The rules were that the participants could go up the stage themselves. After winning, they could decide whether to rest or not. There weren't many participants, only 17 or 18. Most of them were recommended by forces. These famous figures knew each other well, so there was no situation where they would be the last to go up the stage. If they didn't go up the stage, they might be easily defeated in front of 10,000 people if they encountered a super strong expert. To these people, it would be even more embarrassing. The first match was between the young man Ming Chun, recommended by the host, Jingguang Temple, and Ziyu, from the Hall of Reincarnation. Both of them were currently marshals, and were close combat grandmasters of combat. Their strength was on par with each other. Once they started fighting, they didn't dare to hold back. The battle was extremely intense. In the end, the host Ming Chen won the first match. On the rostrum, the Hall of Reincarnation Lord wore a ghost mask, so his expression couldn't be seen. Only a forced laugh could be heard under the mask. The Jingguang Temple is indeed full of hidden talents. Ming Chen's skills are skilled, and his attack and defense are excellent. With that immortal Kasaya, he's like a tiger that has grown wings. Master Bunyan smiled. Your Highness, you flatter me. Ming Chen and Ziyu are only on par. Ziyu's attacks are sharp, her movements are agile, and the lethality of her immortal sabers is not to be underestimated. The Kingdom Protector Qiufeng smiled, but didn't say anything. The two seemed to be complementing each other. but they were actually emphasizing each other's immortal sabers. It was as if the victory was all due to the immortal sabers. She had heard this kind of conversation so many times that calluses grew on her ears. 100 miles away from Golden Light City, a red figure was running wildly. Fuck, I've run so far. I can go around the earth once. The competition has already begun. Charge. Infinite Triple Gate. Chapter 524. After a few rounds, there were fewer and fewer people participating. And those who made a move at this time were usually the true powerhouses. However, the people in the crowd were whispering. Their eyes flashed as they looked at a young man from the North Shui family. That white-clothed man's clothes were whiter than snow. He had long hair and a jade-like face. That guy still hasn't made a move. It's the same whether he makes a move or not. This time, the champion might be North Shui Gufei. I heard that he can even kill the solipsistic. The North Shui family is the leader of the 5 major powers. North Shui Gufei is also a rare genius of the North Shui family. His strength is definitely heaven-defying. In front of Gufei, the others are just side characters. Who told them to meet that monster? He hasn't even started fighting yet. And he's already called the strongest in the previous years. His strength is unfathomable. And he's even reached the heavenly fate realm. Facing the gazes of the people around him, there were many female players who secretly gave him flirtatious looks. However, Gufei didn't even look at them, as if he was already used to it. Speaking of which, there were still 3 or 4 people left, but he hadn't made a move yet. Surprisingly, no one said that he was taking advantage of the situation. A beautiful girl beside Gufei tugged at him. Brother Fei, aren't you going to play? This small action had already attracted the jealousy of many female players. However, they didn't dare to do anything to the North Shui family, even if it was an unknown girl. Gufei frowned. Sisterling, I told you not to call me Brother Fei. It's not elegant. Brother Gufei. Call me Brother Gufei. Gufei didn't know what to do with this sister of his. There's no need to go up now. It's boring. It's just a waste of time. When there's only one left, we'll get first place and go home. Why are you always so boring? Then what's interesting? Speaking of this topic, Gufei narrowed his eyes. Perhaps killing that person is the only interesting thing. Solipsistic? Gufei nodded. Speaking of which, the name solipsistic had long surpassed his own. He North Shui Gufei was known as the strongest genius in the previous years. He was also handsome and unparalleled. No one had ever said that the solipsistic was strong, and no one had ever said that he was handsome. However, the things that he did made it impossible for people not to remember him. The Heavenly Punishment Pagoda was the most valuable treasure of the demon race. In addition, there were rumors that he had completely suppressed the 5 titled marshals of the Dongfang clan, defeated the heavenly fate expert Dongfang Ji, and even used Dongfang Ji's corpse to threaten the Dongfang clan. His golden ID had already been imprinted on the wanted list of all the major forces of the myriad races. Perhaps only defeating this person would give Gufei a sense of accomplishment. Soon, there was only one person left on the stage. It was the Mu Mansion's newcomer, Mu Mansion's Changsheng. This result was somewhat unexpected. As the host, Jingguang Temple had already sent out their strongest newcomer despite Bunyan's humble words. They had even pinned their hopes on a battle with Bei Shui Gufei. However, it was this unknown little brat from the Mu clan who had fought his way through to the finals. Changsheng stood in the arena, looking around. Finally, his gaze fell upon Bei Shui Gufei from the Bei Shui clan. Still not coming up? It seems like you've already understood that whether you come up or not, I'll still take the first place back to my wood manor. Changsheng looked down from above, his tone filled with provocation. The corner of Bei Shui Gufei's mouth rose slightly. In front of me, Gufei, you don't have the right to be arrogant. With a teleport, Gufei was already on the stage. For a moment, everyone's gaze was focused on these 2 people. One was this year's biggest dark horse, an agile assassin who had personally defeated a marshal and 3 titled marshals. The other had yet to make a move, but was known as the strongest genius of the century. Both of them had professions that were filled with killing power. A single mistake could determine life and death. The battle soon began. The assassin quickly entered the purple fog, while Gufei had his hands behind his back. 7 long swords floated around him, slowly revolving around his body. Those were the famous immortal martial sword set, the 7-star butterfly sword. All 7 swords were immortal martial swords. Just this point alone was enough to make people feel a chill in their hearts. In such an intense battle, no one dared to blink. However, there were still a few people who anxiously looked left and right. Qing Shan remembered that he was like an ant on a hot pan. The battle between these two fellows might end in the blink of an eye. However, that guy still hadn't arrived. Cowherd was waiting for him at the city gate. However, there was still no news. It would be strange if he wasn't anxious. On the other side, Cowherd was pacing back and forth in front of Golden Light City. He didn't know how many times he had paced back and forth. Occasionally, he would anxiously look at the edge of the forest. It's the last battle. Brat, it's already over when you're still not here. You don't even know how to send a message. I'm so anxious. 2 minutes later, Qing Shan sent a message saying that Chang Sheng was heavily injured and was delaying the battle. Damn, with Gufei's strength, he can end the battle anytime. Chang Sheng, hang in there. Cowherd had surprisingly become a supporter of Mu Manor's Chang Sheng. 7 minutes later, Qing Shan sent a message saying that the battle had ended. North Snow Gufei defeated Mu Manor's Chang Sheng unharmed. Cowherd looked up at the forest in front of him. He closed his eyes and let out a long sigh. It's over. I didn't make it in time. At this moment, a familiar voice suddenly sounded in his ears. Old man, what are you doing here? Cowherd hurriedly opened his eyes. The moment he opened his eyes, he saw Lu Chen's face filled with questions. Brat, you're finally here. You little brat, you're really making me anxious. Quick, quick, the battle inside is over, quick. Lu Chen immediately reacted and rushed into Golden Light City with a triple door. Where's the battle arena? In the battle arena, North Snow Gufei had his hands behind his back. He looked at the tens of thousands of people below the stage calmly. Mu Manor had a few experts. It was said that they had a special method to let the newcomers gain experience. Unfortunately, this Mu Manor's Chang Sheng didn't perform well, and didn't give him any surprises. Suddenly, looking at the vast crowd, Gufei had a strange feeling. Could that guy be hiding in the crowd? Being surrounded by the other races, Golden Light City was the place where the humans made their final decision. If he was solipsistic, he wouldn't be far from here. He might even be hiding in the crowd. As experts, some of their thoughts were surprisingly similar. Narrowing his eyes, North Snow Gufei suddenly roared. Solipsistic, if you're here, do you dare to come up and fight with me, North Snow Gufei? The crowd below the stage instantly became restless. Directly challenging Solipsistic? North Snow Gufei is really arrogant. Is Solipsistic here? I don't think so. Isn't he wanted by the entire server? I saw North Snow Gufei's battle just now. Mu Manor's Chang Sheng is already so strong. I think it's only a matter of time before he becomes a Marshal of Destiny. But he was killed by North Snow Gufei without any injuries? Doesn't that mean that North Snow Gufei is only missing military points to reach Marshal of Destiny? Not only Marshal of Destiny, he didn't even use his full strength. He only used one 7-star butterfly sword. That guy is also a top existence in Marshal of Destiny. Solipsistic might have obtained a few treasures, but the North Snow family's resources are too deep. Even if Solipsistic was here, he might not dare to fight with North Snow Gufei. Plus, he's wanted by the entire server. Going up on stage now is just suicide. For a long time, there was no response from below the stage. North Snow Gufei was a bit disappointed. It seemed that he had overestimated Lone Tyrant. If not for Lone Tyrant's strength being peerless, and his confidence in escaping from so many people, with his current situation, it was indeed impossible for him to step onto the stage. Alright, are there any more participants? The person in charge of Jingguang Temple walked up. If there aren't, I'll announce that the winner of this year's tournament is North Snow Gu Dash. Wait! At this time, a red shadow left a long red afterimage in the distance. In an instant, this person was standing on stage. Standing on stage, the person finally let out a sigh of relief. Finally made it. Sorry, but Solipsistic will take first place this year. Chapter 525. If Beishua Gufei was arrogant, then Solipsistic was arrogant. He didn't even look at his opponent and directly announced the result of the competition. When the words Solipsistic came out of his mouth, the entire venue instantly exploded. Solipsistic. He's actually here? He actually dares to go up on stage. He dares to participate in the martial arts competition, despite being wanted by the entire server. This person must be crazy. Let's not talk about whether he's crazy or not. How could he just ignore Beishua Gufei? Isn't he being too arrogant? On the rostrum, a group of big shots rushed up the stage and surrounded Lu Chen. It's really Solipsistic. How dare you come to the martial arts competition? It's really a case of searching high and low only to find it by chance. You actually delivered yourself to our doorstep. As long as we capture you, we'll have the capital to negotiate with the allied forces. Everyone be careful. This guy's strength isn't bad and he's extremely cunning. Don't let him escape. Lu Chen frowned slightly as he looked at these big shots. The leaders of the 5 major forces had all personally come down. Dongfang Xiong of the Dongfang family, and the experts of the various large families, had already surrounded him. Why are you in such a hurry? I didn't say I was going to run. Lu Chen smiled slightly. I said that I'm here to participate in the martial arts competition. The martial arts competition didn't say that wanted criminals couldn't participate. Could it be that your families already have such monstrous power that you can arbitrarily change the traditions of the human race? Lu Chen's threat was effective. Such a big hat. Even the 5 major forces didn't dare to accept. Today almost all the people of 3-star and above forces were gathered here. The words of the 5 major families indeed carried a lot of weight in the human race, but they didn't want to be called dictators. Master Bunyan frowned. As the host of this martial arts competition, he had to make his stance clear. Solipsistic, you're too cunning. You escaped outside the Heaven's Punishment Tower. Do you really think we'll believe you? Lu Chen smiled. I say, Master, please use your brain. I wasn't caught by you guys. I went up on stage myself. If it wasn't for the competition, why would I come up here? Everyone looked at each other. That was true. Participate in the martial arts competition? Solipsistic. Don't think that we don't know that you don't have the qualifications to participate in the tournament. If I remember correctly, your military rank should still be a militia. The Hall Master of the Hall of Life said in a muffled voice. What's wrong with militia? Militia is still a soldier. Don't worry. Since I'm here, I'll abide by your rules. Lu Chen finished speaking and looked below the stage. I have a recommendation. Brother Qingshan. The crowd turned around to look for the Maple Leaf Mansion Lord. Qingshan took a deep breath and looked at his colleagues beside him. Everyone nodded and jumped into the arena. That's right. We jointly recommend Solipsistic to participate in the tournament. He doesn't need to meet the military rank requirements. You. Bunyan looked at the leaders of the 2-star forces in shock. You guys have been colluding with the wanted criminal for a long time. Master Bunyan, isn't the reason Solipsistic is wanted because he obtained the Heaven's Punishment Tower's treasure? Could it be that he did something outrageous? Is there a problem with us being on good terms with him? Qingshan threw caution to the wind. Since he had already come this far, there was nothing to be afraid of. Fool! Hong Yu of the Wood Mansion bellowed. The other clans want him because of the supreme treasure. We want him because he has the supreme treasure, but he doesn't want to work for the human clan. Lu Chen snorted. Serve the human race? Sorry, I just don't want to serve the 5 major forces. Country Protector Qiufeng sized up Solipsistic. Was this guy the lunatic Yanran was talking about? Interesting. The Hall Master of Afterlife Hall narrowed his eyes. You're indeed eloquent. Every time the 5 major forces escort the winner to the Heaven's Tower, we contribute our manpower and strength. Usually, we command the human race's army to fight against thousands of other races. We fight for a place for the human race to survive in such adversity. If you don't want to serve the 5 major forces, what right do you have to ask us to escort you to the Heaven's Tower? Mu Mansion Hongyu suddenly spoke again. No, there are only 8 2-star forces here. According to the rules, At least 10 two-star forces need to jointly recommend you to be effective. Solipsistic, you still don't have the right to participate in the tournament. Prepare to be arrested. Blue Shirt was momentarily at a loss for words. He then walked to the side of the stage and loudly asked, "Lone Tyrant is here to change the status of humanity. I hope that those with insight can lend Mad God a helping hand and jointly recommend him to participate in the competition." The situation on the arena was tense. The people below the arena looked around. Some shook their heads, some chose to wait and see, and some were hesitating. "Qing Shan, do you have any proof that he can change the status of the human race? Yes, we can't just rely on your words to support someone we don't know." At this moment, 2 more people jumped onto the arena. The 2 men walked directly in front of Lu Chen. "Are you a student of the Second Heaven Region's Heart Refining Academy? Have you ever received our clan's VIP guest token?" Lu Chen looked at the 2. One was the patriarch of the Pear State Prefecture, and the other was from the 100 Legions. "You too. Do you know Dean Qinsheng and Old Ma?" The 2 smiled. It seemed that they were right. "Qinsheng has already sent a letter. We have heard about your past. It's not easy to kill the Black Flood Dragon alone. Old Ma said that he only has a guest token, but he specially asked us to become friends with that little brother." To be able to meet his old friends, Lu Chen was in a good mood. "Where are Qinsheng and Old Ma? Haven't they returned? Counting the days, their term is almost up. If there's a chance, we would like to invite little brother, Du Kuang, to our residence for a chat." The letter that Qinsheng and Old Ma sent to their clan probably didn't simply explain the situation. To be able to stand up and support Lu Chen at this time, the 2 must have said something serious in the letter, causing the clan to pay special attention to Lu Chen. Of course, it was also related to the fact that they were besieged by the 10,000 races. At this time, for many people, they couldn't consider things for too long. But no matter what, these 2 people appeared at the right time. After the 2 leaders of 2-star forces joined, the number of forces recommending Lu Chen had reached 10. "Alright, now that we have 10, Lone Tyrant should be qualified to participate in the competition, right?" Qing Shan's tone became much more confident. Mu Mansion Hongyu sneered. "You want to participate in the competition with the number of people you gathered at the last minute? Have you forgotten that we, the 5 major forces, have the right to veto?" Mu Mansion Hongyu looked at the other 4 forces. "The 4 of you, let's vote. If the majority agrees, the recommendation will be valid. Otherwise, the recommendation of 10 forces won't be qualified to participate." Qing Shan suddenly panicked. He forgot that there was such a thing as voting rights. In the past, the 5 major families never used voting rights. But this time, when it came to Lu Chen, the voting rights that hadn't been used for thousands of years were used. "I object." The leader of Afterlife Hall was the first to express his opinion. "Capture this guy. Otherwise, how can we solve the crisis of being besieged by the 10,000 races?" "I object too. No matter whether we hand over Solipsistic or not, if the 10,000 races know that we didn't hand him over and sent him to the Tower of Babel instead, the human race will be destroyed," Bunyan quickly said. At this moment a young voice spoke. "Our Beishua family supports this." The one who spoke was Beishua Gufei. After being ignored for so long, this genius finally had the chance to speak. "I want to see how strong the legendary Solipsistic is." Mu Mansion Hongyu looked at Beishua Lingjun. Lingjun shrugged. "If Gufei wants to fight, I have no objection." It was obvious that Lingjun valued Gufei very much. "I think that if he wants to fight, then so be it." Country Protector Chiofeng smiled at Lu Chen. "A junior in my family said that you are very different. Is that true?" Lu Chen frowned. The only junior in the Country Protector army that he knew was Country Protector Yanran. Was that her evaluation of him? Very different. That's it. I don't know what she means by different. Lu Chen shrugged. "When is that girl coming up?" "She said that she wants to catch up to me. I've been waiting for more than 2 months. She's about to leave." Country Protector Chiofeng couldn't help but laugh. "You're really arrogant. Let me tell you, she's just training. When you fight again in the future, you may not be her match." "Good luck," Lu Chen said seriously. Auntie Qiufeng, thank you. Auntie, do you believe that if you call me that again, I'll change my mind immediately? Qiufeng, who was all smiles just now, suddenly looked fierce. My mistake, big sister Qiufeng. Call me big sister. Mu Mansion Hongyu's face was full of disbelief. What was supposed to be a sure thing had so many variables. The 5 factions were now 2-2. Luckily, he still had a vote in his hand. In the end, he would only win without any mishaps. Chapter 526. You almost got your way. Would Mansion Hongyu sneered. The last vote is in my hands. If I say no, it means no. Lu Chen frowned as he looked at Wood Mansion Hongyu. Ken Sheng, Old Ma, and Jingui Yanran had all mentioned him to their families. Why did Jiu and the rest, who were closest to him, not mention him? Perhaps they were training outside, and were not allowed to contact their families. I declare that solipsistic is not qualified. That. Hongyu, are you sure you want to object? Lu Chen looked at Hongyu. Of course I object. This is not a matter of a competition. This concerns the survival of the human race. Once we take you down, we can negotiate with the myriad races. Lu Chen shook his head. Trust me, you will not object. Ha 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 ha, solipsistic, you are too confident. Even if you are strong, do you think that I would Mansion Hongyu will change my position just because of your words? What a fool. Before the last word dream could be said, Lu Chen took out an antique wooden plate from his backpack. This token was quite old. The color of the wood had changed, and the words on it had been smoothed out. It needed to be read carefully. However, when he saw this token, Wood Mansion Hongyu was shocked. There were 9 blurry words on it. Wood Mansion Grand Elder's token. At this moment, Wood Mansion Hongyu's face was full of shock. His body was stiff, and only his eyes kept blinking, as if he was afraid that his eyes were playing tricks on him. How do you have his token? Wood Mansion Hongyu's eyes were wide open, and his voice was choked with sobs. Lu Chen took a deep breath and said in a heavy tone, He and I are old friends. He taught me a lot. In order to let me pass the 9th level of the Heaven Punisher Tower, he killed himself and gave me this token. Thinking of Mu Xian, Lu Chen felt a sense of loss. Everyone, the reason I participated in this tournament is not to be number 1, nor to pass the Heaven Punisher Tower and leave this place. Although I do not know you, and you are not my compatriots, I have friends in the 3rd heaven. In the mouth of the non-human kind, we have the same name, human. I'm not afraid to tell you that after today's battle, I hope you'll let me participate in the Myriad Tribe Martial Competition. Lu Chen walked to the front of the arena and looked at everyone. We humans have been lowly and oppressed for far too long. Just because I obtained a treasure that they coveted, they wanted to exterminate us humans. Everyone here, you seem to have forgotten that you used to be strong. Countless people looked up and saw you off as you left the 2nd heaven domain. Many people saw you as their idols and goals to strive for. There are even more people who are striving to enter the 3rd heaven. However, have you ever thought that when they came to the 3rd heaven, they would have to live in such a lowly state, struggling at death's door? Among those people are your family, friends, and people you care about. Aren't they the reason why you're still holding on despite being forced into a desperate situation? Although I, solipsistic, am not a good person, I have people I care about. I won't allow them to come to the 3rd heaven and become the target of others' humiliation. I don't care how many years the rules of the 3rd heaven have lasted. No one has broken the rules here before, so I will break it. The entire arena, tens of thousands of people, was silent. It turned out that solipsistic wasn't thinking about the Myriad Tribe Martial Competition. He didn't even care about being besieged by other races. He came here to break the rules of the 3rd heaven. In the 3rd heaven domain, the human race had suffered a crushing defeat. But now one person stood up. He wasn't controlled by the so-called 5 great families. He ignored military ranks and despised the rules. Cowherd suddenly choked up. This kid, when he was serious, he really made people's blood boil. Stinking brat, following you all the way. I, Cowherd, have no regrets. Blue Shirt sucked in a deep breath. This was the reason why he was willing to go bankrupt and help Lone Tyrant out of desperation. Lone Tyrant had spoken the words in everyone's hearts. Words that none of them dared to think about. With his own strength, he would challenge all the races and challenge the rules. Qing Shan's eyes were red. He had been under a tremendous pressure these past days. And now he could finally release it all. He looked at those people who were wavering before. They had doubted him, and said he was too stupid. But now, all of them had shut their mouths. Brother Long Quang, well said. I Qing Shan, have not followed you in vain. After Lu Chen finished speaking, he turned and looked at Lu Chen. He didn't want to make things difficult for Mu Mansion Hongyu. He was a family member of Mu Xian, so Lu Chen could be more lenient towards him. Brother Hongyu, I know you have your own considerations. I don't want to force you, but I beg you to allow me to participate in the martial competition. When Mu Mansion Hongyu said the word beg, his heart trembled, and his hands began to shake. With the token in Solipsistic's hand, not to mention making a decision for Mu Mansion, it could even change the Patriarch's position. However, Solipsistic didn't do this. He had given Mu Mansion so much face that Hongyu couldn't bear it. Brother Lone Quang, my Mu Mansion doesn't dare to accept the word beg. From today onwards, if Brother Lone Quang, no, if Senior Lone Quang has any requests, my Mu Mansion will do our best to assist without question. Mu Mansion Hongyu cupped his fists together and deeply bowed. Everyone from Mu Mansion knelt down on one knee. Lu Chen was Mu Xian's friend. According to seniority, Lu Chen was absolutely the senior of everyone in Mu Mansion. Moreover, it was likely that he was from more than one generation. He was absolutely worthy of this kneel. However, Lu Chen didn't like this. Hey, what are you all doing? Don't talk about seniority. Speaking of which, I call you juniors brothers. Hurry and get up. Lu Chen hurriedly helped Mu Mansion Hongyu up. Mu Mansion Hongyu was extremely ashamed. Senior, please don't say that. This junior didn't know the rules. I didn't know that you and the Grand Elder are friends. The Grand Elder's position in my Mu Mansion is no small matter. Since you are friends with him, Hey, don't talk about these unnecessary formalities. If that old man knew that I took advantage of his juniors, he probably wouldn't let me off easily. We are all friends of the same generation. According to seniority, I'm already taking advantage of you by calling you brother. I don't dare. Then, about the martial arts competition. I'm ashamed. I didn't know that the person the Grand Elder entrusted was you, so there's no need to say any more. We naturally agree. Lu Chen smiled and nodded. Sure enough, the more friends you have, the more options you have. He had made many friends along the way. He didn't expect that he would be able to successfully qualify for the martial arts competition in the third heaven. It was much more convenient to talk than to fight. The various elders finally got off the stage one after another. The stage returned to Lu Chen and Beishua Gufei's hands. You want to participate in the myriad race competition? 9 out of 10 matches there are dead. Gufei looked at Lu Chen indifferently. Thank you for the reminder. I know. Previously, the people from Pear State and 100 Division said that you were a student of the Second Heaven Training Heart Academy. Yes, I stayed there for a period of time. Gufei nodded. Red clothes, outstanding strength. I think I know who Shuang is talking about. I didn't expect it to be you. Shuang. Lu Chen blinked his eyes. He didn't have such a name in his memory. Gufei smiled. When you guys meet in the future, you should know her. Solipsistic, you are someone that I admire. Logically speaking, I shouldn't make things difficult for Shuang's friends. However, the myriad race battlefield isn't as simple as you think. For your safety, I have to see your strength. For this battle, I will give it my all. If you lose, you have to give up on your plan. Lu Chen squinted his eyes. It was as if he had never noticed this person. Now that he was standing in front of Beishua Gufei, he seemed to be able to feel something. This Gufei was an expert. Chapter 527. The 7-7-star butterfly swords hovered beside Gufei, glowing in 7 different colors. They vibrated slightly as if they were as excited as their owner. Gufei stood in the middle of the field. A slight breeze blew around him, lifting his clothes and hair. Lu Chen's eyes narrowed. He raised his right hand, and a black and white sword slowly appeared beside him. This move was pretty cool. He had learned it from his mirror image. One side of the Wuxia sword was covered in black mist, while the other side was covered in white mist. As the Wuxia sword spun, the black and white mist intertwined, forming a Tai Chi diagram. The moment the godly demon limitless sword appeared, countless people suddenly felt a strong reaction from their weapons, and even the equipment on their bodies. What? My weapon stats decreased. Why? Weapon suppression? Is this the effect of an innate ability? That's not right. Solipsistic hasn't activated his skill yet. You might not believe it, but when that sword appeared, I could feel my equipment vibrating for a short moment. What the hell is this? I felt it too. Even the 7-star butterfly sword was unstable for a short moment. When the Wuxia sword appeared, all weapons bowed before it. Facing the Wuxia sword that could devour all equipment, they were naturally afraid. What sword is that? It has the aura of a king. Even the 7-star butterfly sword seems to be suppressed. The Kingdom Protector Autumn Phoenix's eyes widened. Could it be the treasure he got from the Dragon Necropolis? The 7-star butterfly sword is a middle-grade immortal artifact. That sword is at least a high-grade immortal artifact. Originally, I thought that Lonely would be able to suppress Lone Tyrant in terms of equipment with the 7-star butterfly sword. Now, however, it would seem that the opposite is true. Those twin black and white swords are definitely not ordinary items. Now tell me, what are Lonely's chances of victory? 30%? I don't think it's just that. Gufei's strength is top-notch in all aspects. Even if his weapon is slightly inferior. From what I know, Solipsistic's weapons are long weapons and bows. He has used a scimitar before, but compared to his 9 dragon pillars of heaven punishment and abyss dragon crystal bow, the frequency of him using it is very low. It's very likely that he's not good at such short weapons. Indeed, Solipsistic's class is a mystery, and he has learned a lot of different things. However, Solipsistic has been focusing on sword riding for 20 years, and he is able to fully utilize the advantages of the 7-star butterfly sword. Plus, the North Shui family has spent a lot of resources to train him, and Solipsistic's real power is unpredictable. Therefore, I think Solipsistic has a 40% chance of winning this battle. In the field, Gufei looked at the sword beside Lu Chun and narrowed his eyes. What is this sword called? Limitless Fiend God Sword. Limitless Fiend God Sword. It actually suppressed the attributes of my 7-star butterfly sword. Gufei quickly searched in his mind, but soon found out that this name was not even in the divine weapon list. It seemed like it had never appeared in the family's weapon list. Limitless, forbid the suppression of weapon quality. This time let's have a fair fight. Lu Chen said calmly. The battle was about to begin, and the battle had already entered the countdown. 3, 2, 1. The moment the battle began, Gufei quickly activated his skill. Sword Saint Sword Art, Sword will rampage. He didn't even need to move his fingers to command the flying swords. Wherever his will moved, the swords would move. 7 flying swords turned into 7 rays of light, shooting towards Lu Chen. Their speed was unimaginable. What this? This is the sword will realm. It's the sword will of sword riding. My god, Gufei has already learned the sword will technique. There were many experts below the stage, and among them were some sword riding experts. They immediately recognized Gufei's move. Sword will. Some of the other classes didn't quite understand. What's the difference between this and sword riding? Aren't they both remote-controlled flying swords? Of course it's different. There's a huge difference. Now my sword riding uses my fingers to control the flying swords. Although I can put my hands behind my back, making it impossible for the opponent to determine the flying sword's patterns, the easiest thing to understand is that it takes time to change the movement of your fingers. However, sword will uses one's will to control the flying swords. Where your will moves, the swords will move, where your fingers point, and instantly destroy the enemy. To be more profound, in sword will, the speed of the flying swords exceeds the upper limit of rapid movement. Moreover, if you use rapid movement to dodge the flying swords, you have to control the flying swords to chase after them. However, in sword will, the flying swords can instantly lock onto the enemy, find the shortest path, and instantly destroy the enemy. In front of Sword Will, there's no need for any skill buffs. It's just a normal attack state, so movement and dodging won't work. No matter how fast you dodge, you can't be faster than a person's will. If even movement was difficult to dodge, then Sword Will was really powerful. The other 4 leaders looked at Beishua Lingjun in surprise. They knew that Gu Fei was far from using his full strength, but they didn't expect that Gu Fei had already learned Sword Will. If it wasn't for Solipsistic's appearance, even Marshal Tianming might not be able to force Gu Fei to use Sword Saint's sword art. This Beishua clan, they really hit it well. Lu Chen had also encountered flying swords that could chase after him when he was in rapid movement, but those flying swords couldn't be compared to this time. Under Sword Will, the 7 flying swords turned into 7 shadows, shooting at him from all directions. If one were to say that Sword Will was a type of skill that could be learned as long as one had a skill book when certain conditions were met, then Gu Fei's strength lay in the way he used Sword Will. This was the understanding and application of Kung Fu by every player, and it was also the key to the difference between the two. The 7 flying swords were very precise in their positioning. Not only did they block most of Lu Chen's escape routes, but even the few remaining routes to dodge were also hidden. Perhaps, the most fatal thing was to successfully dodge. The 7 flying swords' attacks were linked together. If one was hit by a flying sword, it was very likely that he would be attacked countless times in succession. As soon as an expert made a move, one would know whether or not he was an expert. Lu Chen's feeling was not wrong. Just by relying on the move of Sword Will Rampage, he was already worthy of being called an expert. But at this moment Gu Fei used another skill. Sword Saint's sword art, Sword Dao Barrier. Without a barrier, Terminator couldn't be called a top expert. But Gu Fei had already proven that he was not only an expert, but a top expert. He even has a barrier skill. This Gu Fei, we all misjudged him. Woodhouse Hongyu's eyes widened. At this moment, he couldn't help but sweat for Solipsistic. After knowing that Solipsistic was the candidate that the old elder had entrusted to him, Woodhouse Hongyu's attitude changed 180 degrees. The Afterlife Hall Master narrowed his eyes. Sword Will and Barrier. Lingjun, your Beishua clan has been holding back a big move. Perhaps, the one who should participate in the Myriad Tribes tournament isn't Solipsistic, but this Beishua Gu Fei who has been hiding so deeply. Lingjun Beishua didn't answer. His eyes focused on the battlefield. Gu Fei, you're finally willing to fight. Facing the double attack of the mysterious sword intent and seeing the boundary, Lu Chen took a deep breath. He didn't even use Wargot's possession or demon transformation. You're very strong, worthy of my full strength. Very well. I'll let you know what it means to be the strongest. Gods. 6 transformations. Bestow liberation. Lu Chen directly used his strongest skill, 6 transformations of gods and demons. Chapter 528. Humans have to endure pain to live, but God will grant relief to the world. Suddenly, Lone Tyrant and the limitless godly demon sword disappeared from where they stood. In the next second, he appeared 20 meters behind Gu Fei. Just when everyone thought that it was just a normal movement skill, the 7 butterfly swords in the air suddenly fell to the ground. Beishua Gu Fei's HP bar dropped from full to a sliver. Everyone's eyes widen as their faces are filled with shock. Oh my god, what just happened? Why did Gu Fei's HP bar suddenly disappear? What skill is that? Not only did he dodge Sword Slash, he also launched a terrifying attack while teleporting. Instant kill? Impossible. Gu Fei has more than 10 million HP, but he didn't even receive any damage, and was instantly killed. Where's Gu Fei's barrier? Doesn't he have a barrier skill? No matter how strong Solipsistic is, it is impossible for him to instantly kill his opponent in another person's barrier. At this moment, the surrounding space suddenly shatters like a mirror. The Sword Dao barrier is shattered at the same time. The people who were still questioning Lu Chen's attack shut their mouths one by one. Bestowed relief, both the person and the barrier are instantly killed. Behind him, Solipsistic keeps limitless sword, and the golden light on his body faded away. He turns around and looks at the already petrified figure. You have already lost. Previously, there were still people who said that Gufei had a 30% to 40% chance of winning. No one would have thought that the battle between these two super experts would only last for a few seconds. In front of solipsistic of 6 transformations of gods and demons, Gufei could not even withstand a single attack. He did not even have a 10% chance of winning. After a long time, Beishua Gufei weakly drops his hands and turns around. You have won. On the VIP platform, the various family heads are already shocked beyond words. Even though they have seen countless experts, but at this moment, they only have one thought. It is actually 9 transformations of gods and demons. Did I hear wrongly? That guy actually learned the Jyotian forbidden skill. 9 transformations of gods and demons. To actually be able to break the barrier. Does he still have points? This solipsistic is simply not human. To be able to break the barrier, it should be because of that weapon. But this is too terrifying. It's almost impossible for teleportation skills to be used at the same time as an attack. However, when he teleported, he had already launched an attack. The combination of that weapon and bestowed liberation is simply unbeatable. Even for a skill like back attack, it was actually composed of 2 actions. First, teleport behind the opponent, then attack. However, Lu Chen's attack just now ended the match while he was teleporting. There was a fundamental difference. Teleportation wasn't rapid movement. Teleportation couldn't be seen clearly. If he attacked at this time, what else could it be other than unsolvable? With the 3 transformations of gods and demons, Lu Chen could already kill the strongest Tier 3 Dragon Emperor, let alone now that he had mastered the 6 transformations of gods and demons. Under the 6 transformations of gods, North Shui Gufei, who had over 10 million HP, could only be killed instantly. There was no other possibility. At this moment, Hong Yu of the Wood Mansion was both delighted and shocked. He was delighted because the Grand Elder's foresight was too good. Solipsistic was simply too strong. With the relationship between the Grand Elder and Solipsistic, the worst outcome would be that Solipsistic would definitely not make things difficult for the Wood Mansion. He was shocked because he had almost taken the most crucial step. If not for the Solipsistic taking the Grand Elder's face into consideration, and not making things difficult for the Wood Mansion. With that guy's strength, how could he even have the right to vote? Within Tier 3 Heaven, it would be easy for him to flatten the Wood Mansion alone. Of course, he didn't know that Lu Chen's relationship with the Wood Mansion's Xiao Tian and Jior was actually quite good. Moreover, Lu Chen was also lazy. If he didn't have to fight, then he wouldn't. In short, it was a good thing that Lu Chen had taken the initiative to take out the Grand Elder's token. Beishua Gufei probably still hadn't realized that he had been instantly killed by the solipsistic when he was in his peak state. He had trained hard for 20 years and was known as a genius for 20 years. He had both talent and diligence. He had thought that he was invincible, but he had been instantly killed by someone else. The huge difference made him feel somewhat dispirited. Lu Chen used 7 stars chasing the moon, and picked up the 7 stars butterfly sword from the ground. The limitless sword reacted, as if it wanted to swallow the 7 stars butterfly sword. Lu Chen felt a headache coming on. This is my friend's sword. If you want to swallow it, I'll go get it for you in the future. After communicating with the artifact spirit in his mind, the limitless sword also calmed down. Lu Chen handed the 7 swords to Gufei. Your swords. You are the first human I have seen with a barrier. Perhaps one day when I leave this place, you will have to bear some heavy responsibilities. Gufei looked up at Lu Chen. But my barrier was still broken by you. My sword intent can't hurt you at all. Lu Chen smiled. My sword can cut through barriers. If it wasn't for this sword, perhaps there would have been an even more difficult battle between us. I can't break through your bestowal release. Even if I was in my barrier, I probably wouldn't have been able to dodge it. Gufei was still very glad. He knew that the solipsistic was giving him a way out. It was just that the obsession in his heart made him unwilling to take the step down. Lu Chen was very clear about Gufei's current feelings. His confidence had been severely damaged. Bestowal release was indeed like its name. It allowed people to completely free themselves. Lu Chen didn't want this guy who was quite friendly to him to be unable to recover from this setback. Moreover, Gufei was indeed very strong. He shared some of his insights with Gufei. Right now we have just reached the third heaven. In the previous heaven domains, I also encountered moves that I thought I couldn't break through at the time. But as my strength increases, I can also break through moves that were previously unimaginable. Lu Chen said sincerely, bestowal release seems to be unbreakable, but perhaps in the higher heaven domains, it is just a common move. God's punishment wasn't unbreakable. If one wanted to break through it, they had to constantly become stronger and go to the higher heaven domains. Sure enough, Gufei's dim eyes once again lit up. In the past, although he had always been diligently studying combat techniques, he always felt that something was missing. That was the feeling of not having an opponent and not having a goal. But now it was different. He had a goal. He had the motivation to strive. For someone like him, who could do things to the extreme, he wouldn't easily give up. Gufei received the sword that Lu Chen handed over. All right, I will definitely go to the higher heaven domains. I will also break through your bestowal release. Lu Chen smiled. Good luck. There was no longer any dispute over the first place of this martial arts competition. As Gufei left the stage, only Lu Chen remained. He looked up at the dense crowd below the stage and spoke in a clear voice. 1 month from now, the myriad race competition will begin. I will keep my promise and represent the human race in this myriad race competition. In the past, our human race had to bow and scrape in exchange for this barren land of survival. And from now on, I want our human race to stand on equal footing with the other races. The human race will inevitably rise. Chapter 529. Below the stage, everyone's eyes were focused on Solipsistic. Their thoughts followed Lu Chen's vow. If the human race was on equal footing with the other races, what would that be like? The patriarchs of the 5 major forces looked at each other. What a joke. Back then, we wanted him because he couldn't be controlled. Now, it seems that we don't even have the right to control him. The Lord of Afterlife Hall narrowed his eyes. This little guy, Yanran, didn't say he had the temperament of a leader. The Kingdom Protector Autumn Phoenix's eyes wandered. The human race seems to have its own hope. Bunyan took a deep breath. Everyone, does anyone have any objections to Solipsistic representing the human race? Wood Mansion's Hong Yu was the first to speak. What other objections can there be? Little brother Du Kuang's strength and character are clear for all to see. Putting aside the last words of our Wood Mansion's High Elder, just based on his performance today, my Wood Mansion fully supports him. North Shui Lingjun also nodded. My North Shui family has no objections. Hong Yu, your great elder is 1 step ahead of us. This kid really makes people want to get to know him. Master Bunyan smiled. His strength is outstanding, but he doesn't bully others. He's arrogant but not arrogant. He does things his own way, but he stays true to his heart. He's evil but not confused. Only someone who has experienced the world can be so determined. It seems that Solipsistic's time in the third heaven was not in vain. The Kingdom Protector Autumn Phoenix looked at Lu Chen and frowned. Although I don't object, we have to explain to him the cruelty of the myriad race tournament. It's not like today's tournament, it's a real battle of life and death. In the backyard of the Golden Light Temple, Lu Chen, Cowherd, and the other patriarchs gathered. Little brother Du Kuang, the intensity of the myriad race tournament is more terrifying than you think. Mu Mansion Hong Yu said everything he knew. It's a battle of life and death. Not only will the characters die, there's a high probability that they will die in real life as well. Yes, every time we participate, we lose an extremely talented genius. This kind of loss is unbearable for us. The myriad races competition is extremely cruel, especially for those weaker races. If the contestants sent out are unable to protect themselves, almost no one will be spared. It is also because of this that not all races will send people to participate. Of course, as a price, it is just like our human race. Our living space has been reduced to what it is today, and we do not have any right to speak in the third heaven. Lu Chen nodded. I've already heard about this, but I've already thought it through. If the third heaven domain can already affect reality, then the higher heaven domains will definitely have an even greater impact. If I want to continue, I have to face this outcome. Little brother Du Kuang, there are a few experts you must pay attention to. The super experts nurtured by those top forces are no small matter. They already have the strength to go to the fourth heavenly layer. Lu Chen smiled faintly. These people were still a little worried about him. Everyone, I will not be careless during the competition. No matter which race you are from, I will treat you equally. Why do you guys look even more nervous than me? This. Little brother Du Kuang. You must know that this martial competition is not only related to the results of the competition, but also the survival of our human race. North Snow said, with my understanding of the myriad races, as long as we don't hand over anyone, even if we send you to participate in the myriad races competition, it won't be the same as handing them over. They will still use this as a pretext to make a fuss. If you do not obtain a good ranking in the myriad races competition, they will even directly launch an invasion and exterminate our human race. Lu Chen could also guess this point. No matter what he said, he would not be able to stop these people from worrying, unless they waited until the final moment to see the results. Since I've taken on this matter, I will do my best. Right, little brother Du Kuang? Do you still need to prepare anything? There is only a month left until the myriad races competition, so there is not much time left. If you need anything, we will immediately prepare it. Lu Chen thought for a moment. In terms of strength, he was fully confident. After all, he had already defeated the peak of the third heavenly layer, the nine-clawed ancient dragon, when he was in the third transformation of the demonic god. Now that he cultivated the sixth transformation of the demonic god, there was no need to fear the myriad races. Of course, with the limited time he had, Lu Chen still had room for improvement. His level was not max yet, and his bloodline had not improved by much either. Is there a place where I can level up faster? There are more types of wild monsters, and the type that has a higher chance of dropping equipment. Country Protector Autumn Phoenix said, of course there is. The leveling spots in our 5 main cities are the most efficient. As for the variety of wild monsters you mentioned, well, I can't say for sure which one has the most wild monsters. It's all random. Sometimes this place has more wild monsters, and sometimes that place has more. It all depends on the mood of the wild monsters. Lu Chen frowned slightly. Depends on the mood of the wild monsters? What do you mean? Woodfeather explained. The 5 main cities are actually arranged in a 5-star arrangement. Each main city has its own leveling area. However, the wild monsters in our leveling areas do not respawn in the same place. In the central area between the 5 main cities, there is an area where a large number of wild monsters gather. The wild monsters in our 5 main cities all come from there. As for where they go, we can't be sure. That's why we say it depends on their mood. Lu Chen's eyes suddenly lit up. A large number of wild monsters? He really liked this term. What's the situation in the central area? The Hall Master of Afterlife Hall said. You can say that it contains all the wild monsters that appear in human territory. They drop equipment, and at the same time, there are a lot of wild monsters there. Of course, you can imagine how dangerous it is. No one can level up there alone. Our pioneers took this into consideration and opened up 5 paths that lead to the 5 main cities' leveling spots. This way, we have a good leveling spot, and at the same time, we won't be unable to defeat them. Lu Chen nodded. Then I'll go to the central area and grind for a month. Brother Lone Wild, you have to think carefully. The wild monsters there are endless. Even if you have a lot of burst power, it won't be easy to face an endless number of wild monsters. Cowherd suddenly said, you guys don't have to worry. This kid is most likely going to sleep there. The group of people looked at each other. At this moment, Green Shirt shook his head and said, Brother Lone Wild set a record of 12 hours of continuous leveling in our Maple Leaf City. Moreover, the reason why he only lasted for 12 hours was because he felt that the profits inside had decreased, so he quit. At that time, We saw the scene of Brother Lone Wild leveling up. During the entire process he was resting. The group of people widened their eyes. Why did they feel that Green Shirt's words were getting more and more mysterious? Although Maple Leaf City's leveling spots weren't the best, it was still a 2-star city. What kind of concept was persisting for 12 hours? No one had ever done it before. However, that guy leveled up while he was resting? Lu Chen said, "You guys don't have to worry. Bring me to the nearest entrance. Cowherd, if you don't have anything else, come with me." "You stinking brat. You want to use me as a coolie again?" Lu Chen smiled. "Who asked me to trust you? Let's go, old man. I'll give you your salary when we return." Cowherd immediately felt that he had gained a lot of face. In front of so many sect masters, they had to speak respectfully to this stinking brat. In the end, this brat still trusted him the most. This wasn't a treatment that everyone could receive. Chapter 530. Last time, Lu Chen was forced to leave Maple City before he could level up a few times. This time, he could finally level up in peace. When they arrived at the area with the highest concentration of monsters, Lu Chen brought Cowherd to the central area. "Old man, it's still the same. Help me organize the equipment. If there's anything you need, take it yourself. We'll split the rest." Cowherd knew that the reason Lu Chen brought him along was because their planets weren't that strong. Cowherd wasn't very strong, but he was already a legendary figure in Green Rock Planet. Perhaps one day, when the younger generation of Green Rock Planet reached Tier 3, they would be disappointed to see Cowherd in such a state. It seemed like Lu Chen was letting Cowherd work for him, but Cowherd knew exactly how Lu Chen treated him. "It's a pity that there aren't any dungeons here. Forget it, I'll level up first. Little Green, come out too." Lightless Sky Flame Pillar, Black Coffin Death Zone, Manalyo's Heavenly Certificate Doppelganger. Lu Chen activated these skills and went out to fight monsters himself. 1 month wasn't too long. This time, Lu Chen didn't slack off. 1 day later, the players from the 5 main cities suddenly discovered a serious problem. The number of monsters in the farming areas had decreased sharply. 2 days later, the monsters in the farming areas were no longer farming. 10 days later, no one went to the 5 main farming areas anymore. Instead, a large number of people flooded into the 2-star cities. For 30 whole days, Lu Chen monopolized all the monsters in the central area. Just the new equipment alone, Everlasting Sword had devoured more than 80 pieces of equipment. Everlasting Sword's attack had increased by hundreds of thousands. Of course, this was just a small matter. The most important thing was that Lu Chen finally had time to evolve and level up. Cowherd returned to the nearby Wood City and temporarily stored the equipment he couldn't put away in the city's warehouse. He had been tired for a long time and would rest there for 2 days. Meanwhile, Lu Chen took advantage of the rest to have his doppelganger farm and organize the materials for leveling up. "I'm now at 6-star. My base stats have increased by 26 times. I'm now at level 214, and my 3D stats have exceeded 100,000. My HP is also much higher than I expected. It's already over 18 million. And this was only at level 214. After fusing with the new Divine Blood Demon Seed, Lu Chen's level cap increased by a total of 40%. His level cap could exceed his normal level by 100%. The normal level cap for a 3rd heaven stage was 150, which meant that Lu Chen could reach level 300. Cowherd was currently at max level 195. Lu Chen was 100 levels higher than him. Unfortunately, it was impossible to level up so many levels in a month. Lu Chen's goal was to reach level 220. If I'm level 220, based on my current star rating, I should have 19 million HP. I'm just short of 20 million. It was a pity that the amount of materials required for the later stages of the dungeon was too large, and their levels were also too high. In this kind of wilderness area, the levels of the monsters were different, but their stars were still not as high as the instance dungeon boss. Lu Chen could not raise his star level for the time being, but he could still improve his bloodline. Almost all of the demonized species that Lu Chen already had bloodlines were here, as well as 3 completely new species. Lu Chen exchanged for their bloodlines one by one. In order to evolve his bloodline, Lu Chen had to reveal his original body. Scaled lizard bloodline fuse. The demon's body was covered with a layer of hard scales. This is not bad. It feels more domineering. Lu Chen nodded in satisfaction. The talent increases defense. This doesn't seem to be of much use. I'll keep it for now. Two-headed Kuei bull. This big brother, please don't give me two heads. Bloodline fusion. Lu Chen's request was actually effective. However, the strange thing was that behind his fox tail, there was a bull tail. What the fuck? I don't want two heads. What do you mean by giving me two tails? Lu Chen turned around and looked at his extraordinarily long and strangely shaped tail. He was on the verge of breaking down. The shape is completely random. I need to be careful when evolving. The Kuei bull was also a mythical beast, and its bloodline was quite powerful. It increased its maximum HP, and its attacks had earth elemental damage based on its maximum HP. Lu Chen calculated. Currently, every normal attack could increase the earth elemental damage by 400,000. Combined with the 5-hit combo, each attack could increase the damage by 2 million. So strong. When my HP increases, this talent will definitely become my new main skill. Forget it, so be it if it's ugly. Next, Bone Spur Dragon Bloodline Fusion. Lu Chen's shoulder, the side of his arm, and the side of his leg were long and short bone spurs. Although it was a little scary, it was not too ugly. Is it a probabilistic passive counterattack? This talent is also very strong. However, to counterattack, it must be focused first. Speaking of which, it seems to have the same logic as my black armor. There are not many opportunities to use it. I'll keep it for now. In addition to the fusion of the new bloodline, Lu Chen also upgraded his original talents. Among them, what surprised Lu Chen the most was the werewolf's critical hit talent. After upgrading to stage 5, not only did the critical hit rate increase by 2, 3, and 4 times, but there was also a new attribute of 5 times critical hit. Although the trigger rate was only 1%, as long as it appeared, it meant that it could be improved in the future. Once the 5 times critical hit was triggered, it could cause 1000% critical hit damage, which was equivalent to 10 times the damage. Under the siege of a group of doppelgangers, in addition to 5 consecutive hits, a 1% chance was not impossible to trigger. In addition, some talents with the highest quality seemed to stop at stage 2. For example, the poisonous spider bloodline and the green snake bloodline could not be upgraded after reaching stage 2. Even the required materials were not displayed. Need to fuse with a stronger poison talent and activate a new bloodline to continue upgrading. It can't be right? It can only reach stage 2? Lu Chen had intended to continue upgrading, but now he could only give up. Lu Chen thought about it carefully. It seemed that this was because the poisonous spider bloodline's quality was not too high. The poisonous spider and the divine beast Kuei Cao's bloodline were obviously not of the same grade. The Kuei Cao's bloodline appeared at stage 3, but the poisonous spider's bloodline appeared at the start. It was like the green card and orange card in card games. The upper limit was different, and the final growth rate could not be mentioned in the same breath. I haven't encountered a high-level poisonous spider for a while. Maybe I haven't upgraded my bloodline. Lu Chen thought about it, and did not really care. In fact, after Lu Chen obtained the million poison attack, the value of the poisonous spider's poison effect was not in its hundreds of thousands of damage, but in its duration. Moreover, it was added after the normal attack. Even if the poisonous spider bloodline could not be upgraded for the time being, it was enough to have the poison effect. This can still be used. If I really can't upgrade it in the future, I'll completely upgrade it to a high-level bloodline. At this point, Lu Chen confirmed a new bloodline talent. He added a new Kuei Cao bloodline talent. His attacks had an additional 2% earth elemental damage. After upgrading to stage 5, the effect increased to 7%. Every normal attack would have an additional 1,300,000 earth elemental damage. After completing the bloodline, Lu Chen looked at Lu Yi. Little Green, can your alchemy furnace help me refine it? I look a little ugly now. There were bone spikes, scales, a pair of fox ears, and 2 tails that were connected together. Lu Yi covered her mouth and chuckled. Boss, I can't be sure how you'll look like after refining it. AI, let's try it. It's better than my current appearance. And then I'll try it. Lu Chen took a deep breath. That's great. My new appearance will be improved again. Chapter 531. The primordial chaos medicine cauldron expanded several times in an instant. The lid opened, and Lu Chen jumped in. Returning to Lu Yi's cauldron, Lu Chen felt as if he had returned to the time when he fought with Lu Yi in the first heaven. However, Lu Yi was now his ghost pet. Give me a handsome and sexy body. It's best if it's more handsome than that brat Gufei. Lu Chen's muffled voice came from the cauldron. Boss, bear with it. The stronger the fire, the greater the change in appearance. Use more strength. Don't take pity on me because I'm delicate. Come on. Lu Yi placed a large amount of herbs in the cauldron to help Lu Chen absorb and refine the heat. The copper cauldron under his feet suddenly heated up. The refining had begun. Half an hour later, the lid of the cauldron opened, and a wave of hot air came out. Lu Yi looked at the copper cauldron nervously. Was boss coming out? After waiting for a while, a figure finally jumped out of the cauldron. Before Lu Chen could speak, he saw Lu Yi's exaggerated expression. Lu Yi looked at the guy in front of her with her eyes wide open. Under Lu Yi's conscious efforts, the guy standing in front of her had lost many of his beastly features. He barely looked like a human. However, he definitely couldn't be considered handsome. After the fusion of various bloodlines, Lu Chen's face became evil and crazy, especially his pair of large eyes that were emitting a green light and his mouth that was wide open. He looked even more evil. The originally huge demon horns on his forehead had become very small. Only 2 small points could be seen. However, the pair of fox ears actually lasted until the end. The bone spurs, scales, and explosive muscles were all gone. He looked a little thin and weak. His 1 meter tall body had now become a 1.3 meter small paw. The ox tail was gone, and the fox tail was much shorter. However, it was surprisingly just right for this small body. The wings on his back were several sizes smaller. To put it simply, the current Lu Chen seemed to have turned into an 11 or 12-year-old, evil child. So cute. Lu Yi's eyes revealed an irrepressible fondness. Unable to resist, she squatted down and hugged Lu Chen in her arms. Like a big-headed baby, and furry ears so evil and cute. Big sister likes it so much. Lu Chen felt Big Sister Green slapping his cheeks, but his face looked as if he had nothing left to live for. Why is it like this? What happened to my domineering appearance? I don't want to be cute. I want a real man. Little Green, stop playing with my ears. It's itchy. It's so soft. It moves when I touch it. It's so cute. This woman's girlish heart could no longer be suppressed. She kept fiddling with Lu Chen's ears, playing with them happily. Lu Chen now had to look up at Lu Yi. He didn't feel any dignity at all. That's not right. He was about to participate in the Myriad Tribes tournament. Although his previous appearance was a bit scary, it was still domineering. Now that he had turned into a child, it would be strange if he could intimidate others. I said I wanted to be more handsome, but I didn't say I wanted to become a little brat. Lu Chen blinked his big eyes. Little Green, can you refine it for me again? If I go to the Myriad Tribes tournament like this, I'll probably be ridiculed to death. Lu Yi looked at little Lu Chen dotingly. Boss, the primordial chaos medicine cauldron is extremely powerful. Even if your body is strong, you can't refine it continuously. You have to wait at least 3 or 4 months before you can refine it. Besides, this appearance is much better than before. Although the original appearance was very intimidating, the 2 different tails connected together are too ugly. I have to wait 3 or 4 months. Lu Chen almost collapsed. He never dreamed that he would become an evil child. Lu Chen stood there in vexation. He lowered his head, and his 2 big ears twitched. Xiaomin jumped out and looked at Lu Chen curiously. Boss, you're not even as tall as me now. I feel like you're my little brother. I really want to hug you. Xiaomin had lost her little brother. Lu Chen couldn't bear to reject her and let her hug him. "Boss, don't worry. We'll definitely protect you well." Lu Chen was even more depressed. His current appearance had actually aroused Xiao Min and Lu Yi's desire to protect him. How weak did he look now? I originally wanted to make a handsome appearance, but now it's turned out like this. I miscalculated. Although the sixth transformation of gods has grace release, the sixth transformation of demons has higher attack power. Also, Demon 6's skill is stronger. Xiao Min comforted. "Boss, what are you afraid of? You didn't care when you were ugly before. Now that you're so cute, you're not happy?" Lu Chen shook his head. Lu Yi said that he couldn't refine his new appearance in a short period of time. Moreover, it was best to obtain more high-grade bloodlines in order to obtain a domineering new appearance. Since he couldn't change this fact in a short period of time, there was no point in dwelling on it. Xiao Min is right. I'm not someone who cares about my appearance at all. Lu Chen pulled himself together. Ahem, an evil child is an evil child. As long as the word evil appears, I'll definitely not go the cute route. There's still a few more days. Once I reach level 220, we'll go out and prepare to become famous in the Myriad Tribes tournament. 3 days later, the Myriad Tribes tournament was just around the corner. Lu Chen left the leveling area a day earlier. Wow, so cute! The Kingdom Protector Autumn Phoenix couldn't help but hug Lu Chen tightly in her arms and rub against him. I really can't resist such a serious and naughty little baby. Look at those big ears. They're so cute. And those little wings. Lu Chen's face darkened. Did the Kingdom Protector Autumn Phoenix no longer care about her identity as the leader of the National Protector Army? Please be a little more dignified. She was actually taking advantage of him in public. Ahem, big sister Autumn Phoenix, I'm a little out of breath. The Kingdom Protector Autumn Phoenix finally let go of Lu Chen. Lu Chen used stealth and changed into his human skin. Everything finally returned to normal. Ahem, I'm just letting everyone see my new appearance. If they don't admit it and fight, they won't recognize me. Mu Mansion Hongyu smiled. I didn't expect the Chaos Medicine Cauldron to have the effect of changing one's appearance. Miss Green, can you refine it for me? Lu Yi smiled. Your body won't be able to handle it, and will be refined into a pill. In reality, the reason why Lu Chen was able to survive was not only because of his superior physical body, but also because of the large amounts of bloodline in his body. Otherwise, Hongyu's current physical body would definitely be more powerful than when Lu Chen had first refined it. Of course, Lu Yi wouldn't tell anyone about this. This was the most important factor behind Lu Chen's strength. Lu Yi didn't reveal the entire truth. However, no one knew that Lu Chen had already refined it once. They only thought that the solipsistic's current physical attributes were definitely much higher than theirs, so they didn't raise any suspicions. Hongyu immediately began to sweat upon hearing this. Refining into a pill. What kind of experience was that? Everyone, the Myriad Tribe tournament is tomorrow. Appearance isn't the main point. We're going to set off now. When it came to serious matters, everyone's faces sank. The human army is already prepared. This time, half of the marshals and above will be escorting Brother Du Kuang to the Myriad Tribe tournament. The other half will be guarding the human territory to prevent the Myriad Tribe alliance from starting a war. That's right. The tournament will be held in the Monster Beast race's territory. It's not too far from here. If they take the opportunity to invade, we can return in time to defend. All the escorts are bound to their main cities. They can return directly to their cities. Lu Chen nodded. These people were all astute and thoughtful. Lu Chen took a deep breath. Good. Let's prepare to set off. 9 deaths out of 10? In truth, he couldn't calm his heart. Looking into the distance, Lu Chen quietly said, I've already lost the possibility of turning back on this path. Chapter 532. There were tens of thousands of people in the human army that followed Lu Chen. The lowest rank among them was a marshal. Many of them were titled marshals, and even destined marshals. In the crowd, Lu Chen saw Dongfangji. That guy's lightning-type attacks were very strong. Even so, he was not the strongest destined marshal. There were 50 destined marshals in the group. In total, the human race had 100 destined marshals. It seemed that the human race was not completely powerless. The group was about to set off when a subordinate reported, "Sect Masters, there are a few people in the back who say that they must participate in this escort mission. However, their ranks are very low. The highest is only a corporal. They say that they are friends of the mad god." The sect masters looked at Lu Chen. Lu Chen frowned slightly. He did not seem to know any corporals. Corporals? What are their names? The leader is called Mountain Strength. There are others called Chasing Cloud, Frost Dance, and Cutthroat. I don't remember all of them. Let them come. Not long after, Li Beishan and the others were brought before Lu Chen. Madman. The group of people ran to Lu Chen excitedly. Mountain Strength slapped Lu Chen hard. "Good boy, we finally found you." Lu Chen could not hide his excitement. "Everyone is fine. That's great." During this period, Mountain Strength and the others had been keeping in touch with Lu Chen. After all, it was not safe for them to be outside. When Lu Chen participated in the human race's martial arts competition, they were scattered everywhere and could not make it. This time they finally made it. As Lu Chen's companions in the third heaven, Mountain Strength and the others had gone through life and death with Lu Chen several times. There was no need to say more about their relationship. Mountain Strength had only been a small captain of the militia in the third heaven for many years. In the end, he had been promoted to corporal in just a few months and joined the regular army. The others had also become captains. Gold would shine. After losing their stronghold, their ranks had risen even faster. There was no time to lose. They could reminisce about the past as they walked. The group soon set off. When they arrived at the border between the human clan and the beast clan, Lu Chen and the others saw a large number of troops gathered at the border. They seemed to have discovered the human clan's troops long ago and had already set up a heavy defense line at the border. Lu Chen frowned slightly and asked Hong Yu behind him, "Brother Hong Yu, don't they know that we're going to participate in the Myriad Tribes competition?" Mu Mansion's Hong Yu's face was solemn. "We've already applied to participate in the competition. They should know about it." The palace master of the Hall of Life Rebirth scoffed coldly. "They're obviously trying to trip us up." Hong Yu thought for a moment before saying, "Brother Du Kuang, I'll go over and talk to them. I'll explain things clearly to them, or perhaps I'll bribe them with some benefits. Perhaps they'll let us pass." Everyone was well aware of the situation. Looking at the other party's posture, it was obvious that an explanation would not pass. Lu Chen stopped Hong Yu from the wood manor. "Hong Yu, it's time to change some of your habits. We are qualified to participate in the competition, so there's no need to explain or give them any benefits. If they deliberately make things difficult for us, I don't mind killing them as an example. Everyone, let's continue forward." Under the leadership of Lu Chen, the troops ignored the hundreds of thousands of enemy soldiers and continued forward. Halt! Sure enough, when they were 300 to 400 meters away from the enemy's formation, a lion-faced monster beast shouted, "Don't you know that humans are not allowed to take half a step away from the border? Don't think that you can take half a step away from the border just because you're in a group. If anyone dares to resist, I'll kill them on the spot." This person was only a captain, but when he stepped out alone and faced the tens of thousands of human soldiers, he didn't show the slightest bit of fear. His eyes were filled with disdain. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes. These monster beasts were probably used to being arrogant. "Hey, big cat, I'll only say this once. We're going to participate in the Myriad Tribes competition. This is a competition that every race in the third heaven can participate in. We've already registered in the system. You can directly look at the name list. Myriad Tribes competition? Ha 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 ha. You trash want to participate in the Myriad Tribes competition? Don't joke with me." The lion-faced monster beast laughed wildly. "Don't think that I don't know that you want to use this as an excuse to secretly escape from the encirclement. You probably guessed that the human race won't live for more than a month. Soon you'll be extinct. That's why you came up with such a lowly method. TSK, TSK, TSK. Look at you people. Marshals, titled marshals, destiny marshals. What a powerful lineup. Unfortunately, when you come to us, you're still a bunch of trash." The humans all suppressed the anger in their hearts. This guy didn't care about right or wrong. Not only did he force his thoughts on the human race, but he also didn't hide his disdain for the human race. However, perhaps because he was used to being oppressed, there were many people here who could kill this captain-level monster beast. But once they did, it meant that they were declaring war with the monster beasts. If the human race and the monster beasts went to war, they would undoubtedly be digging their own graves. Thus, no one dared to voice their anger. Ha ha ha, a bunch of cowards. What destiny title? In front of me, you're all lowly trash. He did have the right to be arrogant. Behind him were hundreds of millions of human race allied forces. There was no lack of experts among them. No matter how impudent he was, what could the human race do to him? Lu Chen narrowed his eyes and turned to look at the people behind him. Is there anyone who can kill him? His voice wasn't loud, but it traveled very far. Kill. Yo, this bunch of bastards has grown up? Ha 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 ha, that leader is really arrogant. Let's see if the human race dares to touch a hair of my people in front of our 200,000 strong army. A bunch of cowards. I'm standing right here. Don't you dare touch me? Behind Lu Chen, a calm voice sounded. Are you really going to attack? Lu Chen looked at the person. He didn't expect that the person who spoke was Dongfang Ji. There's no joking in the army, Lu Chen said in a deep voice. Let them remember. Okay, I'll do it. Suddenly a bolt of lightning shot out from the human army. Like a ray of light that cut through the night sky, it flashed 300 to 400 meters away. After the flash of lightning, a white-robed man stood behind the lion-faced beast. At this moment, the lion-faced beast's body was emitting electric arcs. Its body was twitching and foaming at the mouth. Its body was stiff, but its eyes were staring at the human army in front of it. They really attacked just like that. The lion-faced beast stared at the person who gave the order. You dared to kill me. Who are you? Lu Chen looked at him coldly and didn't speak. Dongfang Ji said calmly. You want to know his name? You're not worthy. Remember, show some respect to the human race in the future. Dongfang Ji stood in front of the 200 million human race allied forces and said calmly. His words reached the ears of the lion-faced beast and also resounded through the 200 million human race allied forces. There was no problem with the human race's heavenly fate marshal killing a beast captain in an instant. However, the human race's status didn't allow them to do so, and this attack had completely angered the enemy's commander. How dare you touch my people? I'll tear you apart. However, at this moment, the red-robed man in the human army spoke coldly. Very well, it's our turn now. I'd like to see which one of you can touch a hair of his. Chapter 533. You're just a lowly human. How dare you be so arrogant in front of the beast race? I'm afraid you haven't seen what I'm capable of. Human's destiny? You can only wait to be slaughtered in front of me. A destiny realm marshal from the beast race army turned into a gust of demonic wind and charged towards Dongfang Ji. However, Dongfang Ji did not put up any defenses. He just stood there calmly. As one of the few people who had fought against the solipsistic, no one knew better than him how powerful that person was. Since he had said what he said before, Dongfang Ji would definitely believe him. Lu Chen smiled. Although he and Dongfang Ji were enemies when they first met, and this guy did not talk much, to be honest, Lu Chen was starting to like this guy. The demonic wind had already arrived behind Dongfang Ji. However, at that moment, an even faster figure shot out from the human army. It was impossible to see the figure clearly, but it was already standing behind the demonic beast Marshal Tianming. The demonic winds had already stopped at this point, and the figure of an armored werewolf gradually appeared. The moment he appeared, his HP bar was already black. He turned around and looked at the red figure in disbelief. You. Impossible. My wind astral form. The sword in your hand. Could it be? You're the solipsistic. Lu Chen put away the limitless sword and pursed his lips. Unfortunately, you thought of it too late. Lu Chen stood in front of the 200,000 strong alliance army and said loudly, Get out of my way. Otherwise, I don't mind killing my way out. In the alliance army, everyone was stunned by the attack just now. The beast race's destiny marshal was killed in an instant. Even if Marshal Wind Wolf wasn't the strongest marshal of the monster race, and most of his military exploits were obtained from the battlefield, it was still an innumerable amount of military exploits. Furthermore, he had also passed the Marshal of Destiny's assessment. As the highest commander of the Allied army, his strength couldn't be considered weak. However, in front of the solipsistic, he was killed in an instant in his wind astral form state. That guy's attack was over 100 million. Is he really the solipsistic? He actually didn't deny his identity. Isn't he afraid of us ganging up on him? Can't you see? Since he dares to admit it, he must be very confident. Even Marshal Feng Lang was instantly killed by him. Lu Chen did not intend to give them too much time to think. He directly walked towards the 200,000-strong army alone. In the face of such a grim reaper, the 200,000-strong army suddenly opened up a path in the middle. The human army followed closely behind, marching into the territory of the demonic beasts under the noses of the two alien armies. Only when they were far away from the border did the humans come to their senses. Ha 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 ha, this is awesome. Did you see that? We killed their people, and their 200,000 people didn't even dare to move. Their commander was killed in an instant. I don't think those people's brains have reacted yet. It's been a long time since I felt so good. In the past, we had to swallow our pride in front of the foreign races. Now we can finally hold our heads high. Cowherd walked to Lu Chen's side. Brat, well done. Lu Chen smiled. What's the big deal? I've already warned them. But they insisted on doing things their own way. Of course, I had to teach them a lesson. Cowherd nodded. He had been with Lu Chen the longest, and he understood Lu Chen's style very well. This kind of thing that others found inconceivable was not a big deal to this guy. This was a guy who had killed the strongest ancient dragon emperor of the third heaven. The demonic beasts were no different in his eyes. But I didn't expect that the first one to respond to you would be that brat Dongfangji. Lu Chen nodded. I didn't expect that either. At this moment, a white figure walked past the two whispering people. That familiar, calm voice sounded again. I've tolerated them for a long time. Besides, you'll have to bear the consequences if they cause any trouble. With that person continued to walk forward. Lu Chen and Cowherd looked at each other. The person who had walked past was actually Dongfangji. He did not hold back. He had already thought of a way out. After all, he had Lu Chen to take the blame. This brat. Lu Chen shook his head, not knowing whether to be angry or amused. After entering the demonic beast's territory, they did not encounter any trouble along the way. The army was led by the 5 great sect masters, and they headed straight for the demonic god battlefield. That was where the demonic beasts usually held large-scale martial arts competitions. It was also where the demonic beast competition was held. Along the way, they rested a few times. The rest of the time, they were on the road. In the evening, they were about to reach the demonic god battlefield. The Fey god battlefield was a flat plain that took up an extremely large area. Standing on the surrounding mountains, one could see that the periphery of the plain was illuminated by the flames. It was unknown how many races were setting up camp there, waiting for tomorrow's competition. This time, there are at least 400 to 500 armies from different races. North Snow Lord looked around and said, there are a lot more people than usual. The Kingdom Protector Autumn Phoenix snorted. I'm guessing that they want to divide up our territory in advance. Little brother Du Kuang. Master Bunyan walked in front of Lu Chen. The army must stay in the surrounding mountains. Each race can send 200 people to rest in the basin. Each race can bring 20 people into the demonic god battlefield. Fighting is not allowed in the surrounding mountains. You can rest assured about this. After all, if the armies fight, the situation will definitely get out of hand. Lu Chen nodded. Then how about this? Brother Shan, Cowherd, Brother Qing Shan. The 3 of you will accompany me in. Brother Hong Yu, you can decide the other spots. Because this competition was not only about fighting for a ranking, but also the fate of the entire human race. Lu Chen only brought 3 friends. The others could watch the competition through the broadcast. Most of the spots were reserved for people with higher status in the human race. This way, the results of the negotiations would be more convincing. The other 200 spots were also left for Hong Yu and the others to decide. Soon the people were decided. Apart from Lu Chen's group of 4, there were also the sect masters of the 5 great clans and 11 heavenly marshals, who entered the demonic god battlefield with Lu Chen. The 200-people team was led by the sect masters of the other 5 great clans. The outer army was jointly managed by the sect masters of the 2-star clans. After choosing the members, Lu Chen and the others set off. Before leaving, Shuangwu suddenly grabbed Lu Chen's hand. "Madman, you must be careful. We will wait for you to come back." Chasing Cloud stood up and took out a bag of barbecued meat from his backpack. He handed it to Lu Chen. "My cooking skill has leveled up. Why is it all cold?" Lu Chen had a look of disdain. Chasing Cloud glared at Lu Chen. "If you want to eat hot, then come back alive." Cutthroat also walked over. "Madman, come back alive. Our team can't lose anyone." Mei Nyang's eyes were a little wet. Although they knew that Madman's strength was outstanding, who didn't know the cruelty of the myriad races competition? He represented the human race as a wanted man. And it just so happened that the myriad races were preparing to invade the human race's territory. Sometimes, what was even more difficult for people to accept was that it wasn't someone who was always stronger than you, but someone who was originally weaker than you suddenly became stronger than you. Without even thinking about it, Madman would definitely become the target of public criticism. "Madman, I have been practicing blood sacrifice and soul pull, but I still couldn't help." Lu Chen smiled and patted Mei Nyang's shoulder. "Sister-in-law, don't forget that you have already saved me once. Everyone, don't worry, I will come back." "Sister-in-law?" Mei Nyang was stunned for a moment, but she quickly understood what Lu Chen meant. He called Li Beishan brother Shan. So his sister-in-law clearly regarded her as Li Beishan's woman. Mei Nyang was a little embarrassed to be called like this. "Brat, I'm not. You must come back alive, okay?" Lu Chen smiled at his friend and said solemnly, "Don't worry, not only will I come back alive, I will also bring back the dignity and glory that the human race has lost." Chapter 534. When Lu Chen entered the area where the various races were gathered, he first settled down the 200-people team. This area was very large, but when the humans arrived, they became the focus of the other races. Am I seeing things? Are those humans? It's the humans. I didn't expect those trash to participate in the myriad race tournament. Are they trying to throw their lives away? They are probably desperate. Seeing that they are surrounded by us, they know that they are in danger and want to stake it all. What a pity. The humans are trash. Their arrival will only speed up their destruction. Hearing the discussions around him, Lu Chen frowned. He stood up straight and was about to speak when he was stopped by Mu Mansion's Hong Yu. "Ignore them. Fighting is not allowed outside. Otherwise, it will be considered as forfeiting." Lu Chen coldly snorted. "Aren't they the same as us? Then what right do they have to be so noisy? You don't be impulsive. Keep a low profile. You are already attracting enough attention. If you argue with them, you will be targeted." Lu Chen faintly smiled. "Brother Hong Yu, when have I ever been afraid of being targeted? Besides, with my status, even if I don't say a word, I will still be targeted." After saying this, Lu Chen ignored the objections of others and walked in front of those people who were gossiping. Lu Chen didn't know what race they were. Their appearance was very strange, at least to him. There were many wrinkles on their faces, and their ears were pointed. He checked the translation software. After the translation, it was a string of meaningless names. It seemed to be the result of transliteration. Lu Chen frowned. "That Bakr Baisi. Damn, this name is like a foot-binding cloth. Forget it, you bunch of trash. If you continue to blabber, don't blame me for being impolite. Who do you think you are? A human dares to call us trash. I think you don't want to live anymore." Lu Chen angrily glared at that person. He looked around and saw that there were no demon beasts patrolling. He then walked over. Suddenly, Lu Chen's figure blurred. In the next second, the person in front of him disappeared. Everyone was dumbfounded. Even if a living person was killed, it was impossible for him to disappear just like that. Lu Chen touched his mouth as if he had just eaten something. He even burped. Seeing this detail, the cowherd felt as if he had been struck by lightning. This scene was so familiar. He suddenly knew where that pitiful person from whatever clan had gone to. Thinking of that possibility, Cowherd couldn't help but shudder. This brat, he's too bold. He actually swallowed. Not long after, someone hurriedly called the demonic beast patrol team over. It's him, he did it here. Our companion was clearly here just now, but he suddenly disappeared. The leader of the patrol team was a guy with a leopard head and a human body. He frowned as he looked at Lu Chen and the others. Humans. However, as the person in charge of maintaining order here, he knew in advance that the human race would participate in the competition. His main duty was to maintain order. No matter who the troublemaker was, he had to maintain order. Once the order was broken, the final result would be unimaginable. Hey, human brat, where did you take their companions? Lu Chen looked confused. Huh? What? What does their disappearing have to do with me? I was still wondering why that guy suddenly disappeared when he was talking to me. I thought he used some kind of teleportation technique. The leopard head frowned. From the human's shocked expression, it didn't seem like he was lying. Besides, what kind of cultivation method could make a living person disappear? Perhaps there was, but it didn't seem like there was anyone in the third layer of heaven. He turned to look at the informant. Although I hate the human race, what you said doesn't seem very possible. It's true, what I said is absolutely true. We are the Allied army, how could I lie to you? It was that brat who made our people disappear. Look, there isn't even a corpse. Even if the body was destroyed, it can't be like this. Lu Chen looked as if he was deep in thought. That's right, you said I made them disappear. Then how did I do it? Fighting isn't allowed here. We humans are weak to begin with, so how could we dare to cause trouble? Those who can come here are at least titled marshals or even destined marshals. How could I make a living person disappear just like that? Besides, even if I killed him, how could there not be a corpse? Is there such a technique? Lu Chen's words hit the nail on the head. The more the leopard head thought about it, the more he felt he was right. Although he usually looked down on the human race, at least in this case, that human brat was right. You are actually so shameless. I have never seen someone as shameless as you. Fine, you don't admit it, right? Brother Leopard, you can ask the others. Leopard Head asked a few of the victims. Although they all emphasized that it was that human who made their companions disappear, there was obvious hesitation on their faces. However, on the human race's side, almost everyone denied it immediately without any hesitation. I don't know if there was, but I guarantee that I definitely didn't see our people do it. This isn't magic. How can a titled marshal disappear into thin air? Come to think of it, they must be framing him. That person must have teleported himself away. I have never heard of someone who could just disappear. If there really was such a technique, then what was the point of fighting? The more the leopard head listened, the more he felt that it made sense. He then asked the people around. There were witnesses who saw the argument, but no one saw Lu Chen make a move. After a round of investigation, the leopard head said angrily to the person who reported it, I am very busy now. Don't bother me with this kind of thing in the future. Let's go. After the patrol team left, Lu Chen winked at them provocatively. It was as if he was saying, it was me who did it. If you have the ability, come and beat me up. Those people were furious, but they didn't have any evidence. Lu Chen laughed coldly and returned to his companion's side. Hey crazy, did you do it? Mountain Strength whispered to Lu Chen. Lu Chen winked at him. Cowherd looked at Lu Chen's stomach and asked, Kid, are you planning to let him out? I don't want him to rot in there, Lu Chen said with a smile. They are not the main point. The Myriad Tribe tournament is the main point. Cowherd heaved a sigh of relief. You are ruthless. I suddenly pity that kid. After this incident, not many people were talking about the human race. Instead, they were talking about the strange thing that had just happened. After settling the matters here, Lu Chen, Cowherd, Hong Yu, and the others entered the demon god battlefield. Those who could enter this place were all core members of their respective races. When Lu Chen appeared in his red robes, the elites of the various races who were resting all stood up one after another. It's that guy. I didn't think that the solipsistic would really come. He is the solipsistic wanted by the entire server? He has the Heaven's Punishment Tower and the Demon God's Dragon Tomb. 2 supreme treasures? Doesn't that mean that killing him will give us both fame and fortune? Hee. I'm suddenly interested in this myriad tribe convention. Among them, there were a few particularly focused gazes that stared unwaveringly at Lu Chen. The demon race, the heavenly fiend race, and the nature elves. He is the one who sneaked into our nature elf city and escaped from tens of thousands of people. I want to see if he can escape from this old lady's hands. Chapter 535. Madman, a lot of people are sneaking glances at you. Mountain of Strength whispered to Lu Chen. Lu Chen smiled. He was already used to this. It doesn't matter. Everyone set up a bonfire, and the group sat in front of it. Lu Chen didn't know when a furry little guy appeared in his hand. Lu Chen touched the little furry ball's head. Little fellow, come and try chasing Cloud's barbecue. I wonder if you like it cooked. The furry little fellow did not stand on ceremony and ate with relish. Lu Chen smiled. The little fellow had almost recovered since it was injured last time. He wondered if the furry little fellow and the little originator, as well as the little fellow, who had just evolved after spending all his orange beast cores, would have a chance to fight tomorrow. Everyone once again introduced the rules of the Myriad Tribes tournament in detail. Lu Chen's sloppy and absent-minded look made people feel uneasy, and had to confirm it. The Myriad Tribes tournament involved the territories of each race. This was the core interest of each race. Therefore, the rules of the tournament were completely different from ordinary tournaments. At the start of the tournament, all the contestants went on stage. On the stage of the Beast God battlefield, a miniature version of the map of the third heaven had been drawn. Every contestant representing their race stood within their own territory. Once everyone was in position, it was time for the free-for-all match. Contestants could issue challenges to attack other contestants and seize the other party's territory. At most, they could seize 1% of the other party's territory. In addition to the invasion of territory, contestants could also make other requests. For example, they could ask for specific resources, equipment, or even a specific person. If the attack party agreed to the other party's request, there would be no need to fight. If they refused, the result of the battle would determine the result. Many races had more than one contestant. They would analyze the strength of both parties. It was possible to cede territory while invading other people's territory. Since there was a limit to the area seized in each tournament, a certain balance could be maintained. There are many powerful races in the third heaven. In fact, there is a mutual check and balance between them. They don't want to see a race's territory become too big. When a race with superior strength attacks another race, they also have to consider a sneak attack from their competitors. Therefore, the balance in the third heaven is a dynamic balance. Lu Chen had always had a question. There are still many races that haven't participated in the competition. Wouldn't they be at an advantage? Just like the human race, others can't invade our territory through martial arts competition. North Snow shook her head. Brother Du Kuang, you make it sound too simple. Ever since we gave up on the Myriad Tribes competition, our territory has been nibbled away. It has been nibbled away to the point that we can't take any more. Now the remaining territory is the last bargaining chip in our hands. They also know that if they want to swallow the last piece of land, it means that they will have to exterminate the entire human race. They will encounter our desperate resistance. Any race that can survive in the third heavenly layer doesn't have some foundation. They will have to pay a painful price to completely exterminate a race. The war between races is much more complicated than we imagined. It's not just a war over territory. Although we only have this much territory left, we still have hundreds of millions of humans. How could a battle of life and death be child's play? Some large races do have the ability to exterminate the human race, but their vitality will inevitably be damaged. When the time comes, Other powerhouses will take advantage of this, and take advantage of the situation. Xiaofeng also said, so, instead of taking the risk of exterminating the human race, they might as well collect resources from us. In fact, we have to send large amounts of materials to the various large races every year. That's right. If you lose the martial arts competition, there is a limit to the amount of territory you can cede. The tribute of resources is also within an acceptable range. But if you don't participate in the martial arts competition, you will do whatever the other party asks you to do. Our remaining territory is often invaded. We only dare to defend, and don't dare to fight back. Lu Chen nodded. Only now did he understand why the monster beasts dared to brazenly cross the border and attack the human race's territory during the mountain-picking team's time. But the human powerhouses didn't dare to take any action. One reason was because they were weak, and the other was because they didn't participate in the martial arts competition. The human race had no right to resist. This is like boiling a frog in warm water. Lu Chen shook his head. We know, but there's nothing we can do about it. We can't afford to lose geniuses every time we compete. Now they have finally found an excuse to join forces and exterminate the human race. Bunyan sighed. All right. Don't pressure Brother Du Kuang anymore. Brother Du Kuang, I'm afraid you will have to fight continuously in tomorrow's battle. Today you have traveled a long way. Rest well. We will keep an eye on you. Lu Chen was indeed a little tired. Tomorrow's battle was going to start, so he didn't hold back and fell asleep immediately. Looking at the starry sky above his head, Lu Chen repeatedly saw the two figures that had mercilessly abandoned him and his sister. They gradually went further and further away until they disappeared into the starry sky. Tomorrow was going to be a so-called battle that could affect reality. His sister was just next door. Should he go offline and see her? Forget it. Generally speaking, one shouldn't see their family members before a battle. It was the same principle as in movies and TV series. One should never take out a picture of their family members before a battle. Once they took it out, their privacy would be gone. Early the next morning, the originally leisurely atmosphere suddenly changed. Not long after, Lu Chen received a notification that the contestants had entered the third Heaven World simulation map. Madman, are we going to start? Lu Chen nodded his head. Brother Du Kuang, do your best. Pulling Mountain stood up and looked around, clearly restless. Stinking brat. Cowherd held Lu Chen's hand, which was already sweating. It was obvious that he had a lot to say, but he couldn't say it. Perhaps some people cared about the human race's territory, but some people were more worried about Lu Chen's safety. These people were more nervous than him. Lu Chen smiled and said, I'm going. From each camp, people with serious expressions walked out and walked towards the center of the demon god battlefield. The ground there had already been a simulation map, set up with some kind of array. When Lu Chen walked over, who knew how many eyes were staring at him? Lu Chen coldly snorted. There seemed to be a lot of people who had their eyes on him. He didn't care, and followed the instructions to the human race's simulated territory. The simulated territories of the various races were of different sizes. The larger ones were empty when a few people stood inside, like a soccer field. The smaller ones were also empty when a few people could move around freely. Only Lu Chen's place, probably with 2 feet standing there. There was no rich place. It was such a small place, but it was bordered by the territories of several races. Lu Chen stood there like a nail on the map. Ha, brat. You humans actually came to participate in the tournament. Are you trying to put up a final struggle? The surrounding demonic beast race contestants laughed loudly. They can actually hold one person. I think they enlarged the human race's territory. Another demonic beast race contestant said. The demonic beast race's territory was dozens of times bigger than the human race's. Such a palm-sized place can actually hold hundreds of millions of you? You humans are indeed like ants. Hurry up and disappear. A Titan race contestant said coldly. You humans will go extinct sooner or later. But before that, leave behind what you have. The Sky Fiend race contestant said in a low voice. Don't worry. We will treat you well later, so that you won't feel so uncomfortable. Lu Chen smiled and said, The human race welcomes you. Don't be polite later. Chapter 536. After the system reiterated the rules, it projected the competition to the periphery. On the screen, several hundred foreign race contestants were standing in the area that represented their race's territory, making their preparations. Only Lone Tyrant was standing in that tiny area, unable to move at all. Upon seeing this, the surrounding encampments burst into laughter. You still have the face to participate in the tournament? You're just here to embarrass yourself. How can a lowly race like humans not be exterminated? The faces of the human soldiers were ashen. Their territory had been shrunk to the point where it couldn't get any smaller. Even so, they still wouldn't let the humans go. They wanted to exterminate them completely. After a short period of preparation, the tournament finally entered its countdown. The 10-second countdown seemed to stop every time the human felt as if time was ticking. It's about to begin. The fate of the human race is in your hands. The Kingdom Protector Autumn Phoenix's chest heaved. Even her deep breaths couldn't suppress her nervousness. The leaders around her were the same. Their bodies were stiff as they stared at the battlefield. The tournament had begun. Almost as soon as the tournament began, the scene that the humans had been most worried about happened. In the next moment, a group of players surrounded Lone Tyrant in the human territory. Brat, I heard you're very arrogant. Sorry, but I specialize in dealing with all kinds of disobedience. Our heavenly fiend race wants your treasure. Solipsistic, you've been quite active lately. First at the Tower of Divine Punishment, then at the Dragon Necropolis. I didn't expect you to have the guts to come here. Very well, the Titan race will take your head. Brat, you killed one of our heavenly fate marshals at the border yesterday. Do you think you're very powerful? Today, I'll show you how much of a piece of trash you humans are. Wasn't this brat so arrogant that he even welcomed us? Come. Let's divide up the human territory first. You want to use the tournament to keep your worthless life? Sorry, but coming here is your biggest mistake. In an instant, Lu Chen was surrounded by a large group of people. Some of them didn't even have a border with the human territory, but they came to meet him. And there were even more people coming from the distance. Seeing this, Hong Yu of the Wood Mansion panicked. What's going on? Why did they team up against us from the beginning? The master of the Hall of Life and Death narrowed his eyes slightly. How can such a tiny place like ours attract so many covetous eyes? As soon as the competition started, those people came to our territory, even before the other places started fighting. This is clearly something that they discussed in advance. Bunyan let out a long sigh. Sure enough, their purpose of besieging the human race this time is to annihilate the entire human race. This time, they can seize the territory clearly first. Lunatic, Ba Shan's heart was burning with anxiety. However, there was nothing he could do to help. ****. Everyone is joining forces to deal with the madman. This is too much. At this moment, Cowherd Man clenched his fists and growled, Shut up! As the second-to-last person here, who was only slightly higher than Bashan, Cowherd's shout immediately stunned all the sect masters and heavenly fate marshals present. We should have expected this to happen. I believe that with that stinky brat's thoughts, he would have thought that things would end up like this today. However, he still chose to participate in the martial arts competition. Now is not the time for us to complain. The human race has always been weak, so it is destined to be difficult now. The only thing we can do is to believe in that brat. Cowherd Man's eyes were fixed on the trapped red figure. Perhaps you only know that he has heaven-defying strength. However, after interacting with that stinky brat for a few months, I've seen the reason behind his strength. Dongfangji couldn't help but ask curiously, what reason? For a moment, the past flashed before his eyes. When his physical body was 80% damaged, and he could no longer walk, he returned to the City of Exiles and saved Cowherd Man with an arrow. Facing the unsolvable astral wind, when he was about to give up, he still pondered deeply, and finally found a way to break it. Facing the strongest of the ancient dragon race, the nine-clawed dragon emperor, he fought until he was bleeding and killed him in a desperate situation. He had once said that he had a younger sister. He would not allow his sister to come to the third heaven and be discriminated against and bullied by other races. He had also said that he would definitely go to a higher heaven because he had to find the answer there. He can't be considered a good person, Cowherd Man suddenly said. However, he has never lost himself. He has people he wants to protect and answers he wants to find. In order to become stronger, he can endure pain that ordinary people can't. His determination is unparalleled. He has defeated experts that you can't imagine and has also surpassed himself. This is the most frightening part about him. Therefore, Cowherd Man took a deep breath and turned to look at the crowd. There was an unprecedented determination in his eyes. If there is anyone who can save the human race, it can only be that stinky brat. He will bring back the glory and dignity of the human race. Everyone's heart suddenly trembled. As the person who had followed Solipsistic for the longest time, Cowherd Man's words were very convincing. The Hall Master of the Hall of Life narrowed his eyes. Cowherd Man, the super expert you speak of is? The Emperor of the ancient dragon race, the nine-winged, nine-clawed black dragon. Cowherd Man laughed coldly. The demon race said that he stole their treasure? What a joke! Where did they put the treasure? Did they have the ability to take it? They couldn't even pass through the astral wind belt. Instantly, everyone present couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Ancient? You mean the Emperor of the ancient dragon race? No, that's impossible. That only exists in legends. Do I have to lie to you? Where do you think you can get a piece of equipment like the limitless sword so easily? Cowherd Man's rhetorical question was like a sharp sword stabbing into everyone's hearts. They had overlooked a problem. Dongfang Ji pondered for a moment and suddenly looked up at Cowherd Man. Elder Cowherd, you said that he has surpassed himself. Could it be? Cowherd Man smiled. Jingguang Temple should have the most right to speak on this point. Surpassing oneself was definitely not just a matter of words. Coincidentally, there was an anomaly in the Mirror World Instance Dungeon. He cleared the Mirror World Instance Dungeon. Bunyan's eyes widened. That guy who had been leisurely the entire time had already completed this impossible task? Heaven's Punishment Tower, Dragon Necropolis, Mirror World. These were three extremely dangerous places. Solipsistic had only been in the third heaven for a few months and had already cleared them all. But that guy had never mentioned it. At this moment, there was a burst of wild laughter in the hall. Ha 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 ha. I, Solipsistic, will naturally keep my word. When I say I welcome you, I welcome all of you. You want my equipment? Lu Chen raised one hand, and a black and white sword was drawn inch by inch from the void. The limitless sword was drawn out like a king descending to the world. Thousands of weapons trembled. What grade of weapon is this? Does it have a weapon spirit? Impossible. Immortal weapons don't have weapon spirits. Is it the Heaven's Punishment Tower, or the Dragon Necropolis? It actually decreased the attributes of my soul-devouring, heart-destroying spear. Lu Chen raised his chin slightly. We humans are very hospitable, so I'll give you all a chance. All of you. Come at me together. Chapter 537. The moment Lu Chen's words came out, the first ones to have a heart attack were those from the human race. Cowherd had just been talking about how strong this fellow was. Originally, it was quite encouraging, but in the end, Lu Chen's words were like a stick to their heads. Believe him? Believe my ass. That fellow was just fighting properly. But he actually wanted to challenge a whole group of them. This Cowherd. What is Brother Duquang doing? Cowherd suddenly thought of something. He had forgotten to mention that brat's greatest characteristic. Crazy. 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 Others were arrogant. But he was even more arrogant. Taking turns to fight? That was impossible. If they wanted to fight, then they would fight together. Arrogant to the extreme. Many people in the crowd roared. Wanting to die is easy. We want to divide up your human race's territory and clear you parasites out of the third celestial layer. From now on, there will be no more humans in the Jyotian War. Lu Chen coldly snorted. So much nonsense. Anyone with such thoughts counts. This daddy doesn't care if there's a limit to the number of people. All of you attack together. The situation on the Fiend God battlefield suddenly changed. Many of the foreign races were enraged by Lu Chun. 400 to 500 of their strongest experts had already surrounded Lu Chun. The core members of the various races all looked on, as if they were waiting to watch a good show. I was worried that I would need several rounds to deal with that solipsistic, but I didn't expect him to have no brains at all. He probably thinks that those who dare to fight are ordinary Heaven's Mandate Realm experts. He will pay the price for his arrogance. Unfortunately, the price will be his entire race. One person against 400 peak Heaven's Mandate Realm experts? I want to see how many times he'll die. In the center of the battlefield, these peak Heaven's Mandate Realm experts had already displayed what it meant to be strong. When the 400 Heaven's Mandate Realm experts displayed their moves, it caused the heavens and earth to change color. Strong winds were blowing everywhere, and the surrounding clouds were pressing down on the top of their heads, becoming thicker and thicker, forming thunderclouds. Suddenly, a heavy rain began to fall. On the battlefield, sand and stones flew everywhere, mixing with the rain and making the world hazy. Roar! Shocking beasts were roaring in that chaotic world. Their bodies were blurry and enormous in the sandstorm. Based on their figures, people could see that all kinds of rare battle pets had gathered there. Needless to say, there were countless elemental experts here. Wind, fire, thunder, lightning, metal, wood, water, fire, earth. There were also all kinds of professions. Many people even had multiple professions, but they were temporarily hiding. That's too terrifying. Hundreds of heavenly fate marshals of the foreign races unleashed their power at the same time, creating such a huge commotion, causing a huge storm. Pulling Mountain covered his face with his hands, blocking the flying gravel. Just the excess energy released is already unbearable, let alone their common target. Buddha's spirit shield. A professional monk stood in front of everyone and shielded them with an air shield. Solipsistic is too arrogant. There is no lack of super experts among those fellows. They can even enter level for a long time ago. To challenge everyone without distinguishing the target, that's too reckless. On the battlefield, Lu Chun was already surrounded by many experts. He was in the center of the storm, and the surrounding wind ruthlessly lifted his red robe and black hair. From afar, he was like a dancing flame in the storm. But strangely enough, the black and white fog around him was still slowly lingering in the storm, and was not affected at all. Solipsistic, you are wanted by all races. Today we can end this matter. Everyone, according to the rules, the treasure will belong to whoever can kill him. With 2 treasures, Lu Chun had already become Tang Seng's meat. Countless flying swords were already erected, divine beast battle pets were eager to try, and long-range bows and arrows were knocked. At that moment, Lu Chun raised his head. His eyes had become different, emitting a faint green aura. With a cold snort, Lu Chun smirked. You are not worthy. 6 divine transformations. Thunder element conversion. With a boom, a golden light burst out from Lu Chun's body. A bolt of lightning in the sky directly struck the Wuji sword, and the entire sword was suddenly charged, crackling. The surrounding experts couldn't help but stop what they were doing. This is the 9 transformations of gods and demons? It really is the 9 transformations of gods and demons. A forbidden Jyotian technique. He has already mastered the 6th level. No wonder he is so arrogant. We have to be careful this time. The 9 transformations of gods and demons is the number 1 forbidden technique in the Jyotian. It must not be underestimated. If he wants to destroy the human race, he must be killed. So what if he has the 9 transformations of gods and demons? He is just a human, and his talent is not as good as ours. Besides, he has only mastered 1 forbidden technique. It is impossible to say that he is stronger than us with just 1 forbidden technique. That's right. Strength has never been measured simply by the height of one's cultivation technique. Kill this person and get 2 treasures, and even the 9 transformations of gods and demons. I am getting more and more impatient. In the meantime, Lu Chun summoned his battle pets. 6 enormous creatures appeared next to him. Roar! The furball raised its head and roared, shocking the world. The shape of the inferior originator was blurred. It was the most powerful form when it didn't have a fixed shape. There were also 4 other divine beasts: Chaos, Taotai, Azure Dragon, and Black Dragon. For adult divine beasts. Roar. 2 dragon roars shook the world. The Azure Dragon and the Black Flame Dragon Emperor roared at the 100 battle pets on the opposite side, as if they were telling them which divine beast was the noblest. What? Adult ultimate divine beasts? Someone in the crowd looked at the 2 divine beasts in shock. It was well known that divine beasts were terrifying because of their growth potential. Young divine beasts might only be able to kill low-level monsters such as silver wolves, but young divine beasts could fight against a player at the 3rd level of the celestial realm. Adult divine beasts would have even greater combat abilities. To put it bluntly, in Lu Chen's army of divine beasts, the Azure Dragon and the Black Dragon Emperor were as strong as the fur ball. Even Chaos and Taotai weren't any weaker than the inferior originator. They've evolved to adulthood? That requires unimaginable special essences and beast cores. And he's raising 4 of them at once? Wait, an army of divine beasts. Is he the god of death from the trial battlefield? The god of death was quite famous for his army of divine beasts that had slaughtered many species. In that case, let's settle the old and new accounts together. Let's not fight among ourselves for now. Let's kill this guy first, and then settle our disputes later. The 6 transformations of gods and devils can't be underestimated. Come out of the seal. Lu Chen had used the 6 transformations of gods, and had adult divine beasts next to him. None of the experts dared to underestimate Lu Chen. They all used their best skills. Before they really attacked, Lu Chen had already been inflicted with a tremendous number of negative statuses. This is too exaggerated. I've never seen such a horrifying battle. I'm afraid that this battle will be a shocking one at the 3rd level of the celestial realm. Barrier skills are the dividing line between experts and top experts. Those who can come here are all top experts of their species. How can they call themselves top experts if they don't have barrier skills? North Snow frowned. Brother Du Kuang, the 6 transformations of gods and demons are indeed powerful. But can you break hundreds of barriers? The battle had only started for a few seconds, and the 2 sides hadn't even made a move yet. It could only be regarded as a probing stage at best. But already, everyone was so nervous that they couldn't breathe. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.